Let's see here. We good? We good. Everything appears to be in order. I can't check my phone to see how the live stream is going on that end because my phone's charging. I had wanted to stream through my phone, but unfortunately, I was not at the liberty to do so. My phone had been used throughout most of the day, and the battery life isn't what it used to be. So I've been dealing with using the computer instead. My audio problems have not been fixed yet. They appear to keep happening, no matter what it is that I put into my PC audio-wise. Nothing seems to register, so I'm stuck with the audio problems for, I'm assuming, quite some time, which is okay. I don't necessarily need the audio to work on my main PC, except to edit videos and things like that, so it's going to be annoying not being able to edit videos proper. I already miss the fun of just editing videos, having densely edited content in these. Well, I mean, my editing has never been dense per se, but just having more creative content, I miss it. And it's gonna put a hole in my YouTube channel for at least a little bit, but I can find ways around it. For example, UCut on the phone is a really good. A UCut is a really good way of putting a whole bunch of clips together, and not really needing to worry about the quality and this kind of thing. You just take the footage, and it doesn't matter how long the clips are. There's no limit. There's no watermark. You just go. And it's generally pretty reliable. You can't do creative edits or anything like that, but if your goal is just to stick a bunch of clips together, then there you go. UCut has you covered, and there isn't very much degradation in like the quality of the video either. The video quality is pretty concurrent with what the original clips looked like, because this is a problem that I run into with Sony Vegas a lot. Is when I use Sony Vegas, I tend to get a product that after it's rendered looks worse than the original videos that were shot. And of course, whenever you process video, there's a certain amount of video degradation that happens after it's rendered. Now, I'm not like a film guy. I don't really know how all of that works, but we can observe it. We know it happens. So it's not a new thing by any means, but at least in my estimation, Sony Vegas seems to do it a degree worse, at least when you're outputting SD video, because I always try to output like 480p in WMV format, and maybe that's a problem on my end. Maybe I'm using the wrong format. I haven't experimented too much with other video formats. That's just the one that I use because the file sizes tend to be small. But maybe the reason the file sizes are small is because it's not the right format to be using, at least with their presets, you know? So I don't know. I have to look into it. But regardless, UCut tends to produce better image quality in my experience. When I'm recording strictly SD clips, because I don't tend to make videos in HD quality. That's an aesthetic choice. The camera on my phone is actually really good for recording HD video. I just choose not to. So, who knows? Who knows? But no, today has been really, really underwhelming. Let me tell you, I haven't been like depressed or anything, but today has just been very underwhelming. I've just been I've been going back to listening to news, like just like political talk radio, this kind of thing, as background noise. I don't even really care about what they're saying. nothing's going to fundamentally change about our country. It's just sort of going to go the same way it's always been going. There's not enthusiasm that I have when listening to it. It's just something that I put on. It's like, you eventually run out of so many things that are really novel and important to you to listen to. And at that point, you start just putting on random background noise. Who knows? Maybe some people listening to this stream after the fact or currently view my content that way. That it's just something they half-heartedly put on. They just put it on in the background, and that's how they go about their day. Who knows? But, let's see. Silly Douglas says, "Hoi, hello." I use that too. Tatsuro Sato's in the chat and says hi. And then Arrowwind is here. Hello. The gang's all here. But yeah, I've just been like sitting in my room in the dark pretty much the whole day, and that's not like a new thing for me. I've pretty much always done that. But I didn't go outside today. I haven't gone outside in the last couple days. Yeah, I woke up today. I basically have kept all of the lights off, and it was really underwhelming. I just sort of stared at my computer screen. Doing these streams is helpful for me because it gives me an outlet to just talk, and sometimes I need that. Sometimes I need to just talk. It kind of keeps my sanity in place. You know what I mean? Where is everyone? I don't know. I guess a lot of people are probably asleep. Maybe I have a larger section of my audience who are wagies now. I was thinking about this recently, is that, you used to see a lot of the same faces in my live streams at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Like I330 would be there. Of course, he got a job. Like you'd always see like the same couple of people. And I've noticed a lot of those people have gotten jobs now. Like they would go on the Neat subreddit and like post in Neat threads on image boards, and those people would be the people who would watch my videos because I would make videos about being a Neat. And back when I was really, really heavily isolated from bullying and trouble at school and stuff, when I became a hikikomori, I made videos about that. There were people who came to my channel because of those things as well. But I've seen a lot of those people who were extremely isolated, who were unemployed and these kind of things, who would post on the comment section of my videos or who would be in my live streams. A lot of them have said they've gotten jobs, and it seems like there's mixed results. Like some of those people like their jobs, and then other ones really don't, and they're just sort of trying to cope. Like they're just trying to deal with how much they hate working. But I've also noticed that a lot of those people have stopped watching my videos. Like there are certain faces that used to be really familiar that used to come around on my videos who, like around the time they said they got a job, they stopped watching. So I don't know what that's about. Maybe like depressed people who are unemployed feel like they need to listen to someone who's going through the same thing to feel less alone. But when they're not like that anymore, the nature of the content kind of stops appealing to them. Like my goal was never to set out to be someone who was just the neat YouTuber. Like obviously being a neat has been part of who I am and part of what I'm about, but I never really set out to be like that exclusively. I've always wanted to do different kinds of videos to experiment and make it just whatever. Like the description of my YouTube channel is mentally declining avant-garde YouTube vlogger, which is kind of a silly way of describing the channel, but that's the idea, is like avant-garde experimental stuff, like messing around with what a video even is and trying to experiment with it, and then just like cataloging my descent into madness, sort of. And so that's the idea behind it. It wasn't meant to be like exclusively a neat thing. But sometimes there are people who would come on the videos who would view it that way, that it's like, I listen only to the videos you make about being a need and this kind of thing. I think it's interesting. That is how I found you, by YouTube searching Hikikomori. It makes sense. There's a lot of people who have done that. Um, yeah, it's a wild phenomenon, to be sure. But yeah, it is what it is. Um, yeah, I think my room is pretty comfy. Like, I generally don't mind spending all of my time in my room, but it's days like this when it's really, really underwhelming. I am a neat now, but I'm looking to grow with this channel, and there's more appeal here than just neatdom. That's cool. Yeah, I'm glad you've been able to catch on to some of the other stuff that I do. I wish there was a larger audience for my writing, because my writing is something that is very, very important to me. And some of the videos that I've written have gotten a lot of views, but other ones haven't. And so I want to try to direct more attention to the stuff that I write, because I am pretty proud of that. And I want to write more things going into the future. I already have a whole bunch of ideas that have been buzzing around in my head of stories that I could tell. So I'm excited to see where that progresses as time goes on. In my opinion, I don't consider people who make money from YouTube as neats or hihis, but I see what you mean. Yeah, I didn't really start making like significant money from YouTube until pretty recently. Like, I'd say like August of last year was when I started making significant money. Before that point, I would make like $5, like basically nothing off of YouTube. So I really was a neat, because I didn't have any income source, like I wasn't in school. I wasn't I wasn't making much of anything off YouTube besides, like I said, like $10. It's the equivalent of getting $10 from a friend every now and again. But now with the money that I make, is that a lot of the time, like now I make over $300 in a month just from YouTube, where it's basically a part-time job. If you're working a part-time job for only a couple of days, that's basically what you would make. And I mean like only a couple of days, not like a full-on part-time job. But yeah, so it's basically a job at this point. Like, I'm registered in school, but I don't ever attend school. I haven't attended school since December of last year, so I'm technically registered in school. I just never show up. And so I'm definitely not a NEET now, and I haven't been a NEET for a while. Star goes from NEET to at-home freeder. Yeah, that's basically what happened. Is that, yeah, I'm an at-home freeder, and I'm technically enrolled in education. I just never do anything about it. Like, I don't do any I don't do any of my work. I want to get a GED. That's my goal, is to get a GED, because at the rate I'm going, I would have to be in school for another year, year and a half. I just don't want to do that. So yeah, like 2 days ago, I had applied for disability. Is that I went to the Social Security office. I think it was 2 days ago now. Yeah, it's 2 a.m. kind of. Yeah, basically. But I went to the Social Security office, and I applied for disability. And they told me that it's probably going to take 3 months at the least for them to make a decision. And I'm probably going to get rejected the first time, and so I'll have to apply again. But I think I made a pretty good case for myself. Like, I went to the mental hospital, 2 times. I have a long history of going to therapy, and seeing the psychiatrist. And so, if they drop my case, I can just start a new case and show them more of that evidence. But they already had quite a bit of it, so there's a pretty good chance, especially once I get my diagnosis, there's a pretty good chance I'll get neat bucks. But I'm not betting on it or anything. But it's something at least. Because the main reason that I've wanted to leave home is because I just don't want to go to school. Like I've talked on this channel before about plans to to basically just prematurely leave home as soon as possible, and go out and get a job and this kind of thing. But the main reason for that is just because I haven't wanted to go to school. But the school hasn't even complained about me not showing up. They haven't complained about me not doing my work or anything. My father went to go to the school directly, and he talked with the administrators of the school to get documents from the school so the people at the Social Security office could see my information when I was applying for disability. And they didn't even mention the fact that I haven't been doing my work. They didn't even mention the fact that I haven't been showing up. So it feels like the school does not even care. They're not even spilling the beans on anything, at least not to my knowledge. He never mentioned it. So, the main motivation that I had to leave home had to do with, with me being faced with being forced to go to school, and so, at least for now, I seem to be pretty alright. There's no concern there. So if I do end up leaving home, it's probably going to be later. I dropped out of school when I was 17. They stopped caring about my truancy when I was 16-ish. They might just ignore you until you drop out. I think that's probably what's going to happen. Yeah, but the cool thing is that I am technically enrolled in school, and I will be, technically enrolled in school for the foreseeable future. And because of that, I'm able to receive my mom's, what is it called, Social Security benefit, or at least part of it, is because my dad is registered as my payee. So I get I think it's a little over $100 or something like that. I don't remember exactly what the number is in Social Security benefits from my mother, because my mother's disabled. She has epilepsy. And because I'm her child, there's a certain amount of money that's allotted to me each month. And because of that, my dad is basically signed up as my payee on the forms, because I live here with him. So technically, it's her money that the government gives to her to give to me, which I know sounds really complicated. It's a bunch of paperwork BS. But my dad signed on to get the money into his account. But the moment that I turn 18, that money is supposed to disappear, right? It's not supposed to be there unless I'm in school, unless I'm registered to be in school. And so I turn 18 April 29th. April 29th is when I turn 18. So I'm still going to be registered in school at that point. And they only cut off the benefits once I turn 19 and a half, which is a really specific number. I don't know why they make it that way, but it is what it is. So once I'm 18, I don't have a payee anymore because I'm just an adult. So the Social Security people will basically just send me a check every single month just for being in school, even though, again, I'm not in school. But I'm registered as if I am in school. And so that's the way they're treating it. I'm in a really weird loophole right now, because the program I'm in school, this, well, I shouldn't say the name of it, but this program where it's basically just like a catch-up program. You don't have to show up at school at all because all of it's on the computer, and they're really, really lenient towards you not getting work done. Like, they basically don't care. It's just a program for people who have been majorly behind. And so it's super, super relaxed. It's just you stay in one room on the computer all day, and you don't even really need to have proper attendance. And so on paper, I'm a high school student, but in practice, I can be totally free. I don't have to do anything. And it just so happens that aligns with or corresponds to me getting extra free money after I'm an adult, because on paper I'm in school, which is pretty cool. I think I like that, at least. It's nice. I forgot how soothing your voice is and comfy your late night streams were. I kind of miss these. Yeah, thank you, Hiki. I appreciate it. I like doing this ASMR kind of thing where I just come up close to the mic, and I have to be what is it called, quieter late at night, because I can't disturb the people living with me. So I guess it comes off almost as pseudo ASMR. I don't really know anything about ASMR, but it's like I have to. It changes the way I talk because of that. So maybe like me talking softer out of necessity works to increase the comfiness or something. And plus, just streams late at night tend to be comfy. When someone does a stream at 2 a.m., 1 a.m., 12 a.m. or whatever, I always tend to really like that kind of thing, because I've been up. I've woken up at like 1 in the afternoon, and I'm gonna be up all night, with everything totally dark outside and totally dark in my room. And it's nice. It's nice to see someone doing the same thing as you. That's why I love late night streams so much. Like, not my own, but I mean, I love doing them, but listening to other people's streams that they do late at night, it feels relatable, because you're sitting there in your room all the time, and when you're up, like, most people aren't up to DM with you, to do direct messages and stuff, and so you're basically just alone, kind of trying to entertain yourself with video games or whatever, and then all of a sudden you get the YouTube notification, this person is live right now. And I can listen to them, talk and sort of chat in the live chat, and it feels good when that happens, because, like, it's like you're sharing the experience with someone, and I like that a lot. This will go well in green text. Dadgun says. Erwin says, it was the opposite for me. My dad has schizophrenia, and my mom got some of his benefit for caring for me. Be careful. My dad didn't pay taxes for over a decade, working at Sheetz while collecting disability, and the SSA came after me for $40K in grandfather debt he didn't pay. I won the appeal, but it took 2 years of needless stress. If your mom dodged taxes, they might be a pain in the ass. It doesn't affect your own benefits, though. My mom doesn't dodge taxes, at least not to my knowledge. I know she has to file taxes for last year pretty soon, as she's been bugging me about that recently. I almost never talk to her anymore, so it's not too much of a concern. But, so I'm fairly certain she doesn't dodge taxes, but I'd have to look into all of that as time goes on. Star ASMR when? Who knows? Maybe I'll sit down and do an ASMR video. I just have no idea how to do that. Because, again, I don't really watch ASMR. I've watched a couple of them. It's just never been my thing. I have friends who swear by it. They love ASMR. I've never been able to get into it. So I would feel kind of impure, or I guess dirty, making ASMR videos because that's just not my field of expertise, you know? The content I make tends to be made because it's content I enjoy. Like, one of my favorite podcasts is the CU podcast with Pat the NES Punk and Ian Ferguson, the retro video game gurus. One of them owns a video game store. The other one is known online for his Pat the NES Punk series. If you watch Angry Video Game Nerd, you may have seen him in some of the videos. But that's one of my favorite podcasts. And they have this Let's Play show, which they don't seem to do very often anymore. But it always felt really weird and forced to me, where it was very clear neither of these people watched Let's Plays, they didn't like Let's Plays, it was just a show that they did. They just played video games and talked over them, and it didn't work for them because you could very clearly tell that this is not a format they're suited for or that they even like. And you could sit there and say, well, anyone can just turn a video game on and speak over it. Well, theoretically, yes, but at the same time, there's, you know, like, you have to enjoy the product that comes after it. You have to enjoy the process of making it, and you have to enjoy the product that comes after it. And that doesn't mean, you know, enjoy every single thing you make. A lot of the things you make you're going to hate, but if you're trying to do a certain format, in my opinion, it has to be a format that you enjoy. That's why I make the style of videos that I make. The reason I make this style of videos is because it's the type of video I would want to watch. You know, that's why No Thank You, one of my best friends, the reason I call him one of my favorite YouTubers isn't because I'm so I'm so friendly with him. It's because the type of videos he makes, 4:3 aspect ratio, 480p video, like old YouTube kind of feeling, where you're not trying to clickbait. You're not trying to make titles that are, you know, my GF dumped me, part 1 or something like that, with, you know, face in the thumbnail. I try to do the exact opposite of that. You know, I give my videos like incoherent titles that don't make any sense because I want the small community. You know, I want it to be something small, because it plays into the obscurity plays into what the style of the videos are, you know, which is just unrelenting, unadulterated truth. You know, I'm very big on the idea of just completely being truthful, and so that's why I make these videos the way that I do, is because it's what I would want to watch. And when I see a lot of people doing Let's Plays, especially like older folks who don't enjoy watching them, I just get a bad vibe from it. And that's why I haven't tried doing ASMR, is because if you do a style of content, I believe it should be a style of content you enjoy, or else it comes off as sort of stilted and weird. But I don't know, maybe it'll be a fun experiment. Having notifications on. I have notifications on for a lot of things. It just makes it easier to keep up with stuff because I'm subscribed to thousands of YouTube channels, and I don't watch all of them regularly, but I see the subscription feature as just a way to remember that somebody exists, because I'm very forgetful. And so for the people who I like the most, or people who I prioritize, I tend to want to, to keep notifications on for those people. But I can understand finding them annoying. The Stars Live notification is immediate dopamine. Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm glad. I'm glad people can hop on as soon as these start. It's a good feel. Have you tried jumping to any of the YouTube alternatives? I have before. Like, I used VidMe back when VidMe was a thing. That never went anywhere. I've tried using PeerTube and a couple of these other ones. I just don't see the point in doing it. The effort and time it would take for me to re-upload so many of my videos, it would just be a waste of time. I wouldn't want to go through the effort of it, because anybody who would watch my videos are all just going to be here. Like I might get, 2-3 comments over there, and I mean, maybe other people would prefer that, but I like the discussion, that comes from my videos, of having, like 10 10 consistent commenters who I can see what their thoughts are, and I enjoy that. I enjoy the discussion that comes out of them. You and I should do a neat podcast together someday. Yeah, I mean, if you want to, I would 100% be down to do a podcast. Like, if you ever want to revive that plan of meeting one another in real life physically, I feel like we would have a lot to talk about in a podcast. The stream recovered, we good. Yeah, the stream randomly just cuts out. I don't know what's wrong with my PC. Is that the Wi-Fi adapter I use is pretty old. Like, my internet speed is pretty fast, but I just sort of use what I have. Like, my setup is very cobbled together, and nothing I have works properly because it's all really cheap stuff that I've just sort of forced to work. So my Wi-Fi adapter is slower than the actual Wi-Fi, and so if I were to guess, it's a combination of my computer being really old and not working properly, and my Wi-Fi hardware not being good. Just popped in to say hi. Yeah, hello XY. Your style of content is kind of a throwback to classic YouTube from like 2009. I always like when people tell me that. It feels good because like that's the kind of spirit that I want to represent. Just finding weird people on the internet who make videos for the sake of making videos, you know? Ever since YouTube introduced monetization, it's just been a sharp downhill for the website because you get people who just obsessively fixate on making clickbait because they don't want to work a 9 to 5, which is understandable. Most people don't. And so they see YouTube as an opportunity to make money when really, in my opinion, what YouTube should be is an opportunity to create things, not to create things with the purpose of generating money, but to create things for the sake of them existing or for the sake of them being fun. You know, so much of what YouTube back in the day was about was just to broadcast yourself, to just be yourself. And now you get these kids growing up watching like PewDiePie and Markiplier, and they think, this guy does this as a job. I can be like them when I grow up. And that's why survey after survey has kids wanting to be YouTubers when they grow up. Of course, those kids don't know the implications of having to market their videos or having to get good at stuff like editing, but they see it as an ideal. And that didn't used to be the case. And so even though a lot of these kids aren't going to make it big, they aren't going to be successful on YouTube, they're nonetheless copying the style, trends, and the base level aspects of what a lot of these more popular channels are doing. So it's a cycle that perpetuates itself. What's popular gets copied, and there's not much room for experimentation in there, even though in theory YouTube is a totally open platform with, you know, a few exceptions. There's censorship here and there, but you can make basically whatever you want. And with all of that freedom, you see very few people doing anything with it. And I'm very proud to be someone who, you know, hasn't been consumed by the YouTube machine. You know, the YouTube machine wants you to generate a video every single day with a catchy title and a catchy thumbnail that gets people to watch it. And I'm not part of that, and I never want to be part of that. How do I stop my parents from taking photos of their food at the dinner table? I mean, I would just mention to them that, you know, hey, I love you guys, and I just want to spend time with you. You know, it's kind of weird to make everything about social media. You know, can we just have a nice meal? Maybe that would be a little bit blunt. You might want to phrase it better than that. But I guess that's the way. I don't see a problem with taking photos of food. And maybe it's just a really normie Instagram tier opinion that I have. But if you want to share what you're eating with other people, go ahead. How practice is the off-grid neat cabin? How practice is, I don't know what you mean by that. Um, but if you mean by like saving up money, there's a lot of ways, and you probably know this stuff because you're a pretty smart guy. There's a lot of ways that you can save money to build an off the grid neat cabin. You need to buy a small plot of land and get your tools and materials going. Learn how to garden. Learn how to hunt and make things for yourself and this kind of stuff. I'm sure if you amassed the resources or the knowledge at hand and just worked for long enough to save the money, you could definitely do it. There is practice involved. I haven't done it myself, so I can't speak from a position of authority. But it's certainly doable. There are WizChan posters I've seen have done it before, at least, or at least they claim to have done it. There isn't enough weird or obscure content. I have a hard time finding things I like. It's weird for me because I have a hard time finding things that I love. Like, stuff that I love are videos from, somebody like Zabujard or, No Thank You or any of these people who, make just unapologetically weird videos. But I don't have a hard time finding things that I like. Like, I generally like most things if you put it in front of me. Now, I'm not going to seek it out. I'm not going to actively seek out a lot of things that I may enjoy to some extent. But most things I generally like. Like, it's hard for me to have a negative opinion of most media. And you can call me a cum brain consumer or whatever, but I don't know. It's just hard for me to look at most media with a hypercritical eye. I can acknowledge the flaws in them, and I think a lot about the stuff I'm consuming. But because I'm thinking about it, I feel like I get some sort of value out of it because of that. Where even if it's something bad, just thinking about why it's bad is fun to me. And so I generally like even the bad stuff I consume, I kind of like. I can usually find at least a couple positive things in most things. So it's pretty easy to find things that I like, but things that I love, like the weird and obscure content, I have trouble finding. End of Trash is better than 99% of YouTube. I agree. A lot of the guys in this chat probably don't even know about End of Trash, but it was made by this fellow who I used to be associated with to one degree or another called Weeb Trash Productions. They made this like 4.5 hour movie. It took them like over a year, or not over a year, but almost a year to make. And it's really well edited. There's a lot of emotionally impactful moments in it. And it's crazy to think about that the guy who made it was like 15 or 16 at the time they made it. Like, the level of creativity that's in that video is just unparalleled, especially in comparison to to the things I've made. So yeah, I absolutely give it a watch. I can, let's see. I'm just gonna say it. Dabbing sucks. And rip YouTube 2005 to 2012. Yeah, I mean, I don't even think anyone really dabs anymore, but dabbing does suck. And also, yeah, rip YouTube 2005 to 2011. For My says, hello, hi. I don't think I've seen you before. You seem like a new person. Fellow, ha. I mean, fellow et, what's... I'm not good with this gender stuff. Listen, I live in a time machine. I live in the year 1920. I can't keep track of all of these non-binary gender binaries. Give me a break, man. I'm just saying what's easy. I hate Zabujard. He is kind of annoying. I can understand that. Zabujard's style is definitely not the kind of thing that most people can gel with, and it's really sad because he is actually one of the few people who I would want to make a living off of YouTube. Link, yeah, I can give you a link. Just because the life that he lives is, the life that he lives is kind of sad, not being able to have money and stuff. So, if he could make a living off of YouTube, I would be happy. But that's just because I like Zabujard. He's actually like one of my favorite comedians. Like, as a comedian, I really like him a lot. Most of his videos I tend to not just get a chuckle at, like, I laugh hard at a lot of his jokes. And that's just because I'm a weird guy, you know. Pale Moon brings back the feels, though. Yeah, Pale Moon brings back the feels of old YouTube. Um, but yeah, I like. There's so many things about Zabujard that are just unapologetically, in a mainstream sense, like bad. Like if you look at the style of videos he makes, like his personality, like you could make a mainstream kind of normie argument, and I don't mean to call you a normie. You're definitely not. But like you can make the kind of argument that, you know, this content is unappealing. But that's what I like about it. What I like about it is that it's unapologetically different. Um, and and it isn't just that. Like the structure of his jokes, like just genuinely make me laugh. And there are moments in his videos that I think like have actual art to them that make me really emotional. And I don't know how to describe it because his channel is such a mixed bag where he has so many shit posts on his channel that the really emotionally impactful videos get buried underneath. But I feel like especially lately, like he's really come into his prime. And I have a lot of respect for him as an artist. And maybe one day I'll write a video explaining the appeal of Zabujard, like why I think he's good. Who knows? Pale Moon has a Netscape skin. It does have a Netscape skin. I haven't been arsed to actually what is it called? Actually set it up. Now I understand the appeal a little better. Thank you. Yeah, no problem. I'm glad my limited explanation could provide some understanding there. It's like 2 clicks. Hey man, it's hard out here. It's hard out here for a neat. No, I know it's 2 clicks. I'm just a bit lazy. Netscape still works on older sites and non-bloatware sites. Really? That's kind of cool. I'm a takeoff. Bye, brah. Or bye-bye. Yeah, bye-bye to you as well. I didn't even know you were still here. Yeah, Netscape. The fact that Netscape still kind of works is really funny to me. Someday I'm gonna go back to being a Windows 2000 user. I'm gonna exclusively use Windows 2000, because I was hiding. Hee hee. Yes. But there are modifications you can make to Windows 2000 to essentially get all of the updates from XP. And there are programs that are made specifically to make new software run on Windows 2000 and Windows XP. They don't run particularly well, but that stuff does exist out there. There's a lot of bugs, but it is out there. And so just for me as like a computer nerd, and I know my knowledge is way more base level in comparison to like the tech gurus who watch my channel. Like it doesn't even compare. Like as someone who just generally likes the idea of computers, I would love to be like a consistent Windows 2000 user just for the feels of it. There are people maintaining security patches for Windows 98. I know, right? It's amazing. And like with Pale Moon and everything, you can run, you know, brand new HTML5 or whatever websites with basically no problem on these older machines. It's really, really cool. So as someone who just likes computers and just likes old stuff, you know, at some point I wanna break out the CRT monitor and, you know, the old build, and really just like rev up a Windows 2000 machine, and make it as good as I possibly can to work in the modern day, and then use that for a while. It'd be funny if like no use Windows 95. It's a classic. It is a classic. I've used 95 before. I don't know how possible that would be though. That one's probably one of the ones that's way more difficult to get working. But yeah, like what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. No, if I had like a video capture device that could plug into a decent enough PC, I could very easily just output the video from my Windows 2000 PC, and then stream that way. Because, like, you just have to have OBS set up on the computer that actually runs good. As long as the video is going to that other PC, you can stream in real time what's on your screen with this older PC. So I'd love to have like a really like a really what's the word, blast to the past kind of live stream. Um, do thrift shops near you still take CRTs? I've visited some of the thrift shops nearby, and they're pretty desolate. Like there's not much there, but I have seen a couple CRTs, so I could if I shopped around for a little bit, I could find some. Um, have you heard of Don't Be Rama Rama? I've never heard of that before. No. Also, welcome to the stream, Mike Murphy. Dream case with 98 or 2000. Dream PC case with 98 or 2000. Um, it would be a dream. 2000 I like the most for personal reasons. Like the first operating system I had ever used was Windows XP, but the first computer that I had ever had of my own was Windows ME. So Windows ME was the first PC I ever had of my own, and it was an E machine. Um, and at this point, it was very out of date. So I was using it well past its sale by date. Um, going on forums and stuff, reading forums on that computer. But I have a lot of nostalgia for it. I still used a CRT monitor until like 2018. That was the way I used my computer. Um, I used that same Windows XP machine. Actually, well, not that same one. I used a Windows XP machine that I had for a very long time until 2018 as well, because in 2016 I just forced it to run Windows 7, and everything I did ran extremely, extremely slow. Like, it was amazing that Sony Vegas Pro, the editor that I use, even worked at all to edit and render videos. Of course, I had to render them at insanely low qualities. That's why a lot of the videos that were edited that I did release in like 2017, 2018, a lot of them were compressed into like 240p just so I could upload them, because it took that long for, you had a video that you would edit, and it would take like 2 days just to render. And in that 2 day span of time, the entire computer would be locked up almost, where like there's barely anything you could do in the browser. It would be that slow. And so it was pretty unbearable having to, record and edit videos back then, but that was what I had to work with. And I worked with it. I didn't complain. I just did it. And there's something kind of comfy about, and maybe this is just nostalgia talking, but there's something kind of comfy about being creatively limited in that way. Where now I'm still really creatively limited. I'm constantly having computer problems with this cheap piece of shit I have, but it's nowhere near the level it used to be. Now, the way it used to be, I'm surprised I even made videos at all. I feel like a normal person, they would have gotten frustrated at just how many computer problems I had. Like, really, I would be sitting there and I'd have to press pause every like couple of seconds in the editor, or else the editor would crash. Every couple of seconds I had to press pause. So it overwhelmed my machine to ever make any videos, but I kept doing it because I loved doing it and I just wanted to make more. But a normal person, they would give up after the first couple videos working with that kind of hardware. Um, will you play the song, The Shit Is a Banger? I don't really play music on my streams because I tend to get copyright claims, or the video just gets taken down, where a lot of the time they just shut down my stream when I play something copyrighted, so I try not to do that. Um, I've gotten banned for like months at a time for using copywritten stuff in streams as well. So I try not to. Um, you should check out the channel Nostalgia Mall. Lots of 90s computer nostalgia on that channel. I've seen that channel. No, they're really good. Like I saw the video of them using AIM, AOL Instant Messenger, like around the time that AIM had just stopped on like an old PC, and that was really cool. He has a lot of like pickup videos talking about older PCs he's found and how to make them work and stuff. That guy's great. I love his channel. Um, I miss the Y2K aesthetic. Is there a replacement for 8chan Y2K? I don't think I ever really went on Y2K very much. I miss 8chan in general, man. 8kun is just not the same. There's nowhere near the user base that they used to have, and it's probably because every single solitary website that exists on the internet has basically kneecapped 8chan. Like when Cloudflare stopped giving them DDoS protection and hosting, they were dead at that point. You know, nobody else was willing to take them because they didn't they just didn't support the content that was being posted on there, the radical free speech that 8chan represented. Radical free speech that I do support. And it sucks as an internet citizen, or a netizen, whatever you want to call it, that this really important part of the digital highway is just going to be kneecapped forever because Google isn't going to show it in the search results. The hosting services, they have to go to obscure Russian phishing sites just to be able to get their stuff hosted. And it sucks. It really does suck. Coffee or tea? I'd have to go with tea just because tea tastes better. But at the same time, when I put a bunch of shit in coffee, I like coffee much more. So on its own, I would say the tea tastes better. But if we're going by like mixing stuff in it, coffee 100% coffee. I had a really crappy laptop I used to make YouTube video game reviews on when I was 11. I used to bend the laptop in a weird way and had the webcam pointed down at my hands showing off an object. That's comfy. Yeah, we had a laptop, my mother, that was a Windows XP laptop that I used to record videos of Minecraft on in 2013, 2014, around that time. And I had found the most like random screen recording software that I could to record myself playing in browser. Oftentimes this like pirated I had a pirated version of Minecraft and I had one in browser of just recording me with my Rock Band mic, a USB Rock Band mic that I had just found around the house. I think the other one was from Karaoke Revolution, and I just on our laptop, slow as fuck, with choppy video quality, just recorded Minecraft videos. And in 2013, I was 11 years old. No, it's crazy to think about that. Next month I'll turn 18 years old, and the reason for that is because it's 2020. The year's 2020. I was born in 2002. But compared to the people who I talk to online, I feel incredibly young. But yeah, I was 11 years old, just sitting there. Just sitting there chilling with my mom's Windows XP PC, using free software, doing what I could, using the random microphones that were just around the house from video games. 8kun is a honeypot? What is a honeypot? Let me look up this word. I feel like that's just like adware or like botnet or something. I'm assuming that's what that means. Honeypot, plural, honeypots, a pot of honey, figuratively, something or someone similarly sweet or enticing, particularly U.S. slang dated, a romantic pet name Honey. Let's see, and then there's honeypot in computer terminology is a computer security mechanism set to detect, deflect, or in some manner counteract attempts at unauthorized use of information systems. I don't really know what you mean then. Oh, okay. Anyway, rip Hiki. I looked at I started going on Hiki in 2017 around that point. but much more so in 2018. And I have a lot of nostalgia. I have a lot of nostalgia for old Hiki. I don't even know what happened to that YouTube channel either. Maybe it just disappeared. I miss Doomer. Yeah, Doomer was a good board. Cyber Patrician. Nice. All of our favorite Mongolian throat singing forms are dead. I Mongolian throat singing is such a cool thing. Like the fact that the microcosm that the cultural microcosm that existed in Mongolia at that specific time allowed for something so weird and so specific to exist is beautiful. And it's basically exclusive to there. Like, I haven't seen any other Central Asian countries, start coming out with throat singing. It's pretty cool. I like that it exists. I'm sure there's still a dedicated community around it somewhere. I made Pokemon Let's Plays when I was 11, and recorded my commentary in post with a Rock Band mic. Nice. Bath Tip Collective. I've never seen you here before either. We got some new people coming in. Yeah, it is, making YouTube videos when you're very young is a comfy thing. Like, no, before YouTube, because I started YouTube in some capacity in 2013, like I said, coming up on 7 years now, but I've had the Star channel, like this YouTube channel that you're watching here, for the last 5 years. I've been doing this for 5 years now. But making videos in some capacity is something I've done since I was like 7 years old. I got my first camera as something that I sort of inherited from my grandma. Is that my grandma, she came sick with cancer, and so she had this digital camera that my mother and father had gifted to her at some point. She basically never used it, but it was as a way of replacing the camera she had that just had stock, like DVHS or whatever it was, or mini SVHS, I think is what it was. So they tried to get her into digital cameras with that one, but she basically just never used it and opted to use an older model, or sometimes like a better model somebody else had given her. So she just gave me this camera in the box when I was 7. And I immediately loved that thing. I didn't have an SD card yet or anything. That was something that had to be given to me later. So I was going off of like 11 images that I could take, like like a minute of video or something like that. I think it was actually 5, but I was really limited in what I could do for at least a little bit. And then I got an SD card like a couple weeks later that was like 4 or 5 gigabytes. And then I could record like hours of video at that point. It was great. But I loved making videos and taking pictures of things. I would just constantly do it. It's like every day I would wake up and then I'd record a new video. So in some capacity, I've been making videos for the last almost 11 years now. Yeah. Of course, those things weren't on YouTube, but they were a form of creativity for me nonetheless. Like, I would write out plans for the kind of videos I was going to make, and I'd mess around with like Windows Movie Maker again on Windows XP at the time, and it was a comfy time. I've been subbed for like 6 months because of a video I found of you on Reddit. First time I've seen a stream though. Oh, nice. Yeah, my videos randomly get posted to Reddit sometimes. Do you mind if I ask which subreddit you found me on? Do you like Warhammer 40k? Warhammer 40k, it precludes me because I've tried to get into it before through reading some of like the rule books that the traditional games board on 4chan recommends, and I used to have a friend who was really big into Warhammer 40k. And so I tried getting into it, but I feel like the aesthetic and design of the whole thing is part of why a lot of people like it, and that's just not my aesthetic. So yeah, I'm not really interested in the lore. I've tried reading to get into the lore. It feels like just a super autistic mindfuck that goes on forever. And it's not something I have the mental fortitude or the energy to get into. But I respect the people who do, you know? Like, I've tried to get into Dungeons and Dragons as well. I just couldn't do it. Um, I guess board games in general aren't my thing. I like chess a lot. I like mahjong. I like chess, and I like checkers sometimes. Uh, yeah, that's about it. Did someone say Reddit? Hans, get the pesticide. Damn. Uh, Deep into YouTube was the subreddit. Oh, that makes sense. I've had a lot of people find my videos from Deep into YouTube. I guess it kind of makes sense. The Deep into YouTube theme is like that. My videos are basically Deep into YouTube tier, because I'm an obscure guy who tries to be insane and obscure, or just is insane and obscure. Take one or the other, or both. Um, it started in the year 2000, and it's still on some level of quality and consistency, yet to be surpassed by anything I've independently funded on the internet. Homestarrunner.com doesn't get enough credit for establishing the groundwork for internet humor and online video, and we've still yet to see anything like it since. It started in the year 2000, and it's still on a level of quality and consistency yet to be surpassed by anything I've seen independently funded on the internet. Sorry, it had to start again. Um, yeah. Uh, Homestar Runner's great. I like Homestar Runner. I don't know any other way about it. That's a phrase I use a lot. I say, I don't know any way about it, or I say, there's no two ways about it, or I say, I don't know what you're on about. Those feel like three three different iterations of essentially saying the same thing, or like using similar words to get to, similar but different ideas. I don't know why I do that. I have these little, if you watch my content enough, you'll see me use certain turns of phrase again and again, that they're almost like habit formed sentences for me. I once saw one of your videos posted on r/deep into YouTube. Yeah, I've seen a bunch of them get posted there. I have a friend, the Reddit user Mario Zimbabwe. You may recognize him if you're I guess an experienced enough Redditor. But he posts my videos on Reddit from time to time, or like he'll just DM me with a link like, upvote this bro, and it's like, dude, I don't even use Reddit. Why are you telling me to upvote videos that you posted there for me, quote unquote. Do you go into poll? I don't find much of anything funny on poll. I would go there if it was funny. It's just not funny. A lot of it feels like tryhards. R/need is alright besides the incel crap and LARPers. Yeah, sometimes it feels almost like r/need is an incel subreddit. I know it's not, but so many of the people who go there are just like, dude, I don't have a GF right now. It's like, okay, you can take that somewhere else. I mean, I'm okay with people mentioning it in passing, but it's a neat subreddit. It's meant to discuss being a neat. I'm not really a Redditor. I don't tend to go to Reddit. I think there's some good posts on Reddit. But the way I tend to use Reddit is to find guides for things. I think Reddit is an excellent resource to find guides on how to do stuff, or just like researching information. Especially if you're a druggie. If you're a druggie, Reddit is the best resource. You can find all kinds of information, and big, like, long chains of links about drugs on Reddit. That's basically the only thing I use it for, though. I don't tend to go to Reddit for any other reason. Yeah, I already read that. There are a lot of LARPers on the internet who pretend to be neats, and that always puzzles me. Why would you want to pretend to be someone who's unemployed? If your goal is to pretend to be something, I feel like there's way more interesting things you could pretend to be. Like, I don't understand that. Like, what's like, the idea of being unemployed is pretty simple, right? You just don't work a job. You don't have much to work from there in terms of like character development and and attention that you can get out of people. I guess if you're a woman, you can get attention out of really, really lonely men by pretending to be in need. But other than that, like you're basically you're basically taking shots in the dark at a target that's invisible, you know? Like who even is your audience if you're trying to be an internet personality or whatever, you know? It's fucking weird. Learn how to troll better. Like pretend to be like a Bitcoin miner who lives in his parents' basement who's obsessed with what's an obscure political ideology, like anarcho-monarchism or something. Like your character is that you're the most dedicated anarcho-monarchist. You just want anarchy, but with a monarchist state, and you love Bitcoin and you love living with your mom and she gives you tendies and stuff, but like you're also really into Thomas the Tank Engine, and so you post these big walls of text about being an unapologetic Thomas the Tank Engine fan. Like do something like that. Like that's interesting. That's an interesting way to LARP and pretend and be a character. Stuff like that, just pretending to be unemployed, that's no. Learn to troll better basically. Ever been to WizChan? Yeah, no, I love reading WizChan. I don't post there because I am not a 30-year-old virgin, and I think WizChan is generally like the posters should be older people. That's the culture of WizChan, and I respect that. I respect the culture that they come from, and so I've never made a post to WizChan because I feel like that's not my place. But I do love reading it. Lurking WizChan is always really fun. I think they do it ironically for the lulz because how much drama can be stirred online, but like what drama though? Like to me it's really uninteresting. There are more efficient ways to find lulz though. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Need life would be comfy if I had made the rules. I need to have my own place and enough money saved for a year and be frugal as fuck. That'd be cool. Yeah. If you can just save your money, you know, you can live pretty comfily. All you really need is a computer, you know. You don't really need much else, just a computer. Reminder to report WizChan to the FBI as a terrorist website to make toxic whiners seethe. I mean, if that's what you're into, go ahead. But I enjoy WizChan reading it. The sad truth is that there are no good image boards anymore. Oh, what about Lane Shan? Personally, I really like reading Lane Shan. If all of the other image boards just didn't exist anymore and only that one, I'd be okay with that. But I enjoy reading Lane Shan. I enjoy reading Sushi Girl sometimes. Of course, I don't read it that much. Like I said, I enjoy WizChan. I enjoy Obaway-chan sometimes, although I've noticed there are a lot more normal fag posters there, and it's not as good as it used to be. I like 420-chan a lot, and I mean, there's obvious reasons for that, but I enjoy reading 420-chan. It's not as active as it used to be, though. I wish it were more active, but it's an enjoyable place nonetheless. Lane Chan. Yeah, it's Lane spelled with an I instead of spelled with an. It's based off of the anime series Serial Experiments Lane. But there's a lot of interesting discussions there. Let's see here. Yeah, I'll post a link. 420chan is still massive compared to most boards. That is true. Have you ever been to T? No, I have not. If only encyclopedia.zone was an image board instead of a shitty BBS. I think encyclopedia.zone is really fun to read. I enjoy it. Let's see. What was I gonna... It would be cool if that place had an image board, though, as like a component of the website. I would enjoy that. But a lot... Like, I've never read something bad on encyclopedia.zone. That whole website is filled with great stories. I haven't really visited the forums very much, though. I feel like I should visit the forums. Actually, let me go there right now. This website's just beautiful. The way it's designed is very early 2000s. Only love can stop the killing. It's so cool. I love the way encyclopedia.zone looks. The therapy twink thread will always be comedy gold. Absolutely based. Hif we? What does it mean? Hif we? I feel like I've seen this before. Hip we. Do you mean, let's see, millennial dan Gen Z Indonesia? I don't know what you're on about, mate. 7chan, 420chan, and Desu-chan are a blast from the past, but sadly they are not active anymore. I think 420chan is somewhat active. Instaban, I see. Desu-chan, I haven't looked at Desu-chan in fucking forever, or 7chan either. Let me go to Desu-chan right now. What's going on here? Oh my god, I haven't been here in so long. Let's see. Let's go to the anime board. What's popping on the anime board? It's let's see. And the posts here seem to be pretty old. Yeah, this place is pretty dead. I'm glad it still exists though. Like maybe people can revive it. Let's see. I feel like I've seen this before. This is how bad my memory is, right? Is I will see something a bunch of times, right? A common meme or something, and then I'll just completely forget that it exists. Drugs, wrestling, and dogs since 2005. 2005, man. It's been around. They've been around the block. Let's see here. Let's go to search. And I love that they have so many different what is it called, boards on the website too. Like they have all these categories: Star Trek, sports, Flash, dinosaurs, post-apocalyptic. The post-apocalyptic board's really interesting. Oh wow, there's relatively new posts going on here too. Let's see here. Oh, this is a cool painting. I'm gonna save this. Let's see here. Now I'm just browsing image boards. You can't even see any of the stuff I'm looking at. Okay, let me go back to looking at the chat. The Desu board's active. Oh, okay. RIP Homestuck forums. Never used it. I arrived way too late to the fandom. Personally, I don't like Homestuck at all. It's too LMAO, so random kind of humor for me. This a comfy stream to listen to. I'm constipated, so this is a great way to fill the time. I'm glad, man. I'm glad. It's nice to fill the void every now and again with comfy kind of noise. No, it's a good feel. Oh, I almost dropped your mic. The mic almost fell down. But yeah, I apologize to those of you who are sensitive to noise for the sudden interruption. I accidentally kicked my desk. But yeah, I really do hope that I can be successful in getting neat bucks, because that would free me up. That would free me up to write more. Is that I wouldn't have to worry about money problems or anything. I could just write, and that would be nice. That would be nice, not having to worry about, going to school or getting a job or anything like that. I can just focus on becoming a better writer. And that's a goal. That's a goal right there. That's a direction. And I could, focus more on like learning Japanese and stuff. I really do hope I can get the neat bucks. Like being a NEET isn't inherently unhealthy. It's about having positive social relationships. If you have friends who are nearby and you have a family who you have a good relationship with, then being a NEET can be a really good thing. But you have to have hobbies that you're dedicated to and that you have goals in. You have to have goals in general, and you have to have people who you're close to and a good environment. Otherwise, being a NEET for a lot of people is just going to be pure suffering. Not all, like there are those, and I've talked about these people before, those wise NEETs who just completely isolate themselves for years and are still happy. But those people are not the majority. They're in the very, very small minority, But Yeah, like, and it's I'm like, my depression has become so much easier to manage ever since I started having a better relationship with, like, my father, for instance. Because if I ever get lonely, and I don't get lonely very often, it's not a particularly strong emotion for me, I can just talk to him. I can just go to the other room and talk to him and spend time with him. And it's done wonders for my mental health just to have someone nearby who I can be honest with and that I genuinely enjoy being around, especially, someone, who is as important to me as my father is. That's made me significantly happier. And so, I that's why I advocate for people to have, better positive relationships with other people, is because it can it can massively affect your life, for the better. Um, Catalog or no catalog star, I tend to go catalog mode most of the time because I like to see all of the posts at once, but I still think using no catalog can be comfy sometimes, just to see some of the I don't know. I guess maybe it's because when I started out using image boards, I didn't even really know what catalog mode was. I was really young, going on 4chan for the first time. So I have a sort of nostalgia for using image boards in the non-catalog mode, just for the feeling of it. Even though I know using catalog mode is better, like, just to see every single post at once and to know what each thread is about, like, it's more convenient, it's more organized, but at the same time, I have a special feeling for not using it in catalog mode. Um, we need a shared directory file for altnets. We really do. Being a need isn't unhealthy, but being a hikikomori is. 100%. I agree 100%. And that's why people shouldn't try to cultivate, like, an identity around being a hikikomori. Like, I see these posts on Reddit of people going, haha, I'm so hikikomori, bro. I'm so hikikomori. It's unhealthy. Because, like, fundamentally what being a hikikomori is being alienated from the world around you. You hide and withdraw in your room because you can't leave. And I was like that for a while. I just couldn't leave. That's how anxious I was. And so, like, there's trauma that happens in the real world that leads you to becoming withdrawn. And, so being a hikikomori is unhealthy. And I feel like the people who are hikikomoris should try to get out of it. Neat bucks are based. I agree. Hello, human being. Bernie's probably going to lose, so I'm gaming away the pain tonight. I've always just assumed Bernie's probably going to lose. The thing is that even if he did get elected, it wouldn't really change very much. Like, if he got elected, yeah, he'd, like, legalize weed or whatever, but, like, or make some foreign policy decisions that would be better. Like, there's some things around the economy would change, but in general, like, it doesn't, it doesn't really matter that much. It never struck me as a big surprise. Yeah, it was probably gonna happen inevitably. It's just the way things are, but it doesn't matter. Like, politics as a whole, it doesn't really affect us. The only things that can affect us are the changes we make in our own lives. I think it's better to not focus so much on what's going on in the world globally, and instead focus on, what can I do to positively affect change in my community, in my family, in where I live. And it's very easy to get, and I'm not attempting to project onto you in any way, but it's very easy, at least it was for me, to get so enveloped in and obsessed with global events when really we have no say on what globally is going to happen, like in our own country or wherever. That stuff's kind of out of our hands. Like, we can vote or whatever, but that's to the extent that we can go. We can organize around it, but ultimately, the will of those in power is going to be asserted nonetheless. And so that's why it's important, I think, to not get emotionally attached to whatever movement it is that you're attempting to fight for, because fighting for change is not a bad thing inherently. It's just so unlikely that change is going to occur that to get emotionally attached, I think is a bit too much. That instead, where that energy should be focused on is things that you can directly impact, like your family life, your friends, yourself, these kind of things, you know? CAC burn victims, am I right? Nice. Exactly, this is why I used to rage and still sometimes do. Yeah, Hiki, in general, shouldn't be identified with. You know, YouTube be blocking my links. RIP. Fix that link. It's a huge directory for boards. Could you send it to me on Discord? Let's see. I know individually the president can't do much shit, but I thought it could have pushed a movement to shift Congress more left. I mean, of course, I know I have no power. I'm just obsessed to care and read about this shit. I can't sit with myself to ignore what's going on in the world. Yeah, I mean, like, if you're just a really morally upstanding person who just cares about other people and the world as a whole to the point where, like, you can't turn it off, then, I mean, yeah, I mean, solidarity with you. I feel for you. I feel like I have it a bit too good. Like, it's very easy for me to just completely detach and be like, well, it is the way it is. I don't care, you know? But that's my mindset. Is I'm very aloof. My mindset has always been very emotional. Well, not always. I used to be insanely sensitive, but I'm pretty, like, emotionally aloof. And so when I look at these things, it's like, yeah, that was gonna happen, and you know, like, it's easy for me to not care, is how I'd put it. But I know not everybody's like that. Let's see here. Local community organizing is the most impactful political organizing one can do. Yeah. I am Jesus. That is correct, of course. Hikikomori is counterculture. Don't ID as a hiki. I don't agree with a lot of the stuff I said in that video these days. I don't agree with a lot of my videos. I mean, I'm never too angry or sad, but I don't know. Most of this stuff just fascinates me. I mean, if it's an interest to you, then, you know, go full ahead. I enjoy reading about it from time to time, but in general, I don't focus so much on it because, you know, it's a bit of a waste, I guess you could say. I don't know. I found this on Lane Shay. But yeah, Star, something's going up with your live chat. I don't know. But what was I on about? I don't know. Like I'm generally pretty apolitical. Like, I have political stances on things, but I'm like, I don't I don't really care that much. I like, a lot of politics is just background noise for me. It's just background noise that I keep on, like, oh yeah, I don't have any other entertainment to consume today, so I guess I'll listen to this secular talk video, you know, that kind of thing. Do you like reading books? I love reading books. It's like one of my favorite things to do. I'm looking actually right above my desk right now. I have an entire stack. Of books up there. No, I way prefer reading about, like, political and economic concepts in books than actually keeping up with the news. You know, keeping up with the news is gay. It's just drama and current events. Actually, like, reading about the economy and political theory and stuff, I really like doing that because it's just interesting. Like, I know I'm not going to affect any change on the world by having known these things, at least not to any significant degree, but I find it really interesting individually, and so I'm going to read about it because it's cool, you know, like, it challenges you to think. It's the same thing with philosophy. Like, you can have philosophical stances on things, But in order to know why those things are correct, the act of reading it is also an exercise. You know, you're exercising your brain to think about, well, why do I agree with this thing? Why do I disagree with these things? Just to parse the text, a lot of the time you have to think, because there's complicated terminology being used, the ways of phrasing things have nuance to them, and so you have to dissect them. I love doing that. It's really interesting. So, you know, agree 100%. Very based. Do you like Thomas Sowell or Swole? I don't. Thomas Swole. Yeah, I get Swole, bro. Um, I don't think I've heard of this guy before. Oh, oh, it's this guy. Um, uh, yeah, I haven't read him, but I've been meaning to read this guy's work for like a long ass time. He was a really important Black American economist, um, and yeah, he wrote a lot of stuff about civil rights. Um, uh, let's see, he wrote about like trickle down economics and stuff. Um, he uh he's really interesting. Um, I haven't gave him a read yet, no, but I plan to eventually. He's on my list. Um, News is sensationalism. Theory is great. Yes, I agree. Um, and history as well. Reading history is very fun. Politics are a joke. In general, yeah, they're pretty memey. Also, would you publish a light novel if you could? I actually plan to write a light novel eventually. I've started writing light novels before. You know, there's light novels that I've began writing, but just never finished. And if I could just find the text somewhere, I'd post it online, because some of the stuff I wrote was actually pretty funny. At least I think so. Um, but yeah, I've began writing them and then lost interest before, but someday I hope to actually like sit down and get a light novel done. Um, Guarantee you'd like it? Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Um, let's see. What are some of the books? Some of the books that I have like sitting right in front of me is let's see. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Hunter S. Thompson. Let's see. The Pigeon by Alexander Susskind. Wait, no, Patrick Susskind, right? Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Uh, The People's Republic of Walmart. Let's see. The Shock Doctrine, Thomas Paine, and what was it? Thomas Paine and let's see. Thomas. It's like Thomas Paine and the Foundation of America or something. I can't see the title properly from up here. Let's see. The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins. Let's see. Finally, some good news by Delicious Tacos. I can't see the other books that are on my shelf. I keep having to like get up and read them, but it's hard. There's the stuff. It's precluding me because stuff is stacked in front of one another. I have a copy of The Triflers by Mumkey Jones, the original run. I have the original version of The Triflers, the version that got banned off of Lulu or whatever. I have that one. So it was like the first print run that he did of the book. Now the version of the book that he's done looks different. Like it has a different cover and everything, and I think some aspects of what's on the inside have changed a little bit as well. I don't know exactly. I don't know the lore behind that. But yeah, I have the original print run of the Triflers. Um, let's see here. I think the term novella is kind of closer to the American European style of light novel. I'd argue is tied more to that specific Japanese publishing consumption style. Yeah, the novella is definitely closer to an American style. What I mean when I say I want to write a light novel is that I want to explicitly take the tropes and aesthetics of Japanese light novels, but write it as an American. Like as an American, I want to take, you know, a lot of the tropes and potentially subvert them, or you know, use them in a different way, like in the style of what Japan is doing, you know. Read Fear and Loathing immediately. I have been reading it. It's a very good book. I haven't finished it yet, though, just because I've been pretty slow about it, but I enjoy it a lot. My face when light manga never, sad face. I agree. I once met Mumkey IRL. He was kind of more awkward than I expected. It doesn't really surprise me. He's a pretty depressed guy, so a lot of the time people who are very depressed are also awkward in social situations. Do you have his Elliot Rodger book too? Sadly, no. When that book came out, I was super, super poor, like insane levels of poverty. So I didn't I didn't have the money to get the book at the time, even though I really wanted to. Mumkey is a failed normie? Is he really a failed normie though? Like, he has a job, he's had girlfriends and stuff before, he has friends who, think he's funny and stuff. He has a pretty successful internet career as well, where like he makes money off the internet even though he has a normal job. So I don't know. I guess it depends on your definition of failed normie. Like, he's definitely a normie, if we're going by someone who's like successful in life and has good social relations and stuff. But I don't know about failed though. I feel like he's just like a depressed normie. Maybe if you consider being depressed as failure, I guess. But I don't know. Like, I don't consider that as like a failure automatically. You know what I mean? For some reason, when I type in the name of this book, it auto deletes. Huh, weird. I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but wouldn't you rather write something original as opposed to just another derivative, unoriginal light novel? Well, for one, I have written things that are original, and I will continue to write things that are original. But the idea of writing like a... And it isn't even like you can take what's derivative about light novels in Japan and subvert it. I think I use the word subversion. So it's not even like it would be entirely unoriginal. There are aspects of my personal style and my own culture that I can convert into a light novel, that I can take the tropes and traits that they have and then I can put my own spin on them. So it's more difficult to make something like that original, but it's not impossible. You can do it. It's within the realm of possibility. Black. What? Black what? I don't know what you mean. Mumkey is a Neanderthal. I don't know about that. He, like, for someone to have written, multiple books and whatnot, it seems... he seems like a smart enough guy. It's just there are things about him that he's not self-aware about, like problems he has, and so it leads to conflicts because of the lack of self-awareness, I think. Like, for the longest time, he just refused to be medicated or get therapy for depression because he thought, well, I mean, I'm right about this, so why would it work? And it was only until like very recently that he actually started getting those things and realized that it did work for him. But he spent years and years of his life just assuming it would never work. And if he had the self-awareness to point out, wait a minute, I'm being kind of arrogant here, then he could have corrected his course. But it took him so long. So like there are degrees of intelligence in different areas. Some people are better at different things. There are things that I'm really bad at that people with different types of intelligence would be really good at, and vice versa. So it's about nuance. You can't single out people as being inherently dumb or inherently smart. There are strengths and weaknesses that everyone has, and sometimes the reason those strengths or weaknesses show themselves are incredibly complicated and due to the circumstances that they exist in. Like, I've seen Mumkey do really smart things, and I've seen him do really dumb things. Human beings do that. Human beings have the capability to express themselves in a lot of different ways. So, I try not to think in black and white when it comes to these things, because ultimately every single human being is an individual. You can be a, what is it called, a pretty common individual, someone who's pretty consistent with the general narrative of what a normal person should be, but you're still different in your own way, even if it's small. There's always these, everyone is different in some way. So I try to... I don't like painting black and white pictures when it comes to people, of saying everyone is inherently one way or the other. It's complicated. The world is very complicated. Um, Iteration is original, though. It requires creativity to do well. That is true. I definitely agree. Check out A Renegade History of the United States by Thaddeus Russell. Okay, let me look this up. I'll have it open in another tab so I don't forget. Um, let's see here. Oh, this looks interesting. But he definitely is a degenerate. That is for sure. Oh yeah, I agree. Um, I don't even really see degenerate as like a bad thing though. Like if you're a degenerate, I mean you should be free to do what you want, you know? Just enjoy yourself. Just I don't know. Like I would say don't do it around me, but it's impossible for me to be grossed out by anything. Like my threshold for being grossed out is non-existent. You could put the worst looking scat in front of me and I would tell you I've probably seen worse than that, or if you showed it to me I'd go yeah I've seen worse than that, you know. So it's very very hard. I have like I don't just not have a filter. I have my brain has no filter. I can look at the most like fucked up shit and I'll just have no reaction to it. So like if someone wants to be a degenerate in public and like be like a furry and fuck each other in their fursuits out in public, yeah, go ahead. I don't care, you know. Um, I like being a degenerate is hard to, you know, like it's hard for me to care. The internet messes people up, lol. It depends, you know. Sometimes it really does mess people up. Um, in my case, like seeing all of the fucked up shit that I've seen, didn't like make me a worse person per se. It could, if I, you know, if I let myself fall into behaviors that were bad as a result of those things. Like it's possible, but yeah, I think it's just made me a lot less sensitive towards really horrific things. You can like as long as you're a good person, and I mean I'm not really like a moralist. I don't really try to talk in moralizing terms. That's not my thing. Uh, but generally, like what defines a good person is by their actions. You know, you take good actions, therefore you are good. It has nothing to do with the thoughts in your head or what you're capable of crying or not crying at or being sensitive towards. It has to do with what you do, you know, the way you act. You could have the worst rape murder fantasies in the world, but as long as you kept doing the right thing, you would be good. In my opinion at least. And so I like if you just have thoughts and you know you act out those thoughts on the internet, it's okay. What matters is what you do. And sometimes the internet can facilitate people taking actions that are bad, and in that way it should be regulated for those people. I don't mean regulated as in by the government. I mean they should moderate their own behavior, like moderate how much they're using the internet or moderate what websites they're going to and these kind of things, you know? Um, the biggest mistake you can make is thinking you're somehow stronger than anybody else. Nobody's even close to perfect. Yeah, no, people are definitely not perfect, and I think we should constantly be reminding ourselves of you know of our own weaknesses and flaws and do self-criticism in order to make ourselves better people. It's a never-ending you know it's a never-ending job that you have to do in improving yourself. Like the finish line, there is no finish line. You just keep going. You just keep having new flaws that you improve on. And it's kind of beautiful in a way, you know? It's like there's always a goal for you to be striving towards because, yeah, you're never going to be perfect. You're never going to be the best, but you can be better. And so it gives you a reason to get up and do something. And I think that's really good. But I do think there are aspects where people can be stronger than other people. For example, if I had to disarm someone, like if someone had a gun in front of me and I had to disarm them, I would not panic. I would do it because I've done that before. And so being in that situation where everyone else was afraid and had a big reaction to it, and I just stoically was able to disarm, that's an area where I would say that on the basis of my reaction and ability to actually get the thing done, I am stronger than other people because I have the experience to do it. That's not me saying I'm stronger in general. There's a lot of normal people who are way stronger than I am in certain regards. But it's about nuance, like I said. Everything is about nuance. So, the internet only messes people up if they aren't willing to take everything with a grain of salt and think critically. I agree 100%. And we should constantly be doing that. Criticism is very, very important. You can't put yourself in an echo chamber. You have to be willing to criticize yourself and those around you. That's a good point, says Sushi Sab. Welcome to the stream. I haven't seen you before. Consequentialism is based. Actions can be measured. I don't know what consequentialism is. I feel like I know I've seen this word indefinitely. I've seen this word, but what is the doctrine that morality of an action is to be judged solely by its consequences? Oh, okay. I agree with that then. Let's see here. Star, can I ask you something? Yeah, go ahead. Feel free. No questions are off limits in general. Like, some things are too personal for me to answer. Stuff like very, very personal information, like, oh, where do you live, bro? You know, or like stuff about people who are close to me's personal life that can be damaging potentially. There's a very limited amount of things that I won't answer. In general, I'll answer pretty much everything. So always feel free to ask stuff. I'm pretty much an open book. Why do Aboriginals have an issue with sniffing petrol gas? I mean, I don't know about the Aboriginal phenomenon of sniffing petrol gas. I would assume, like Big Poppy said, it's because they're poor and it makes them feel better. Same reason why people drink. I don't think the reason people drink is necessarily just because of poverty. I think it can be exacerbated by poverty. There's a huge history in Russia, for instance, of people chronically drinking in order to, ignore the problem of poverty. And there is evidence for systemic addiction, addiction being instituted through a lack of education on the part of the poor and through an economic system which makes those people so destitute that they physically and psychologically rely on a number of substances in order to get by. And I mean, obviously, like, we know that the CIA, for example, sells drugs. Like, that's well documented. So, like, it's complicated. Like, a lot of people, the reason why they turn to that alternative is because in the beginning it makes them feel good. It's a way to hide from things. But it gets very out of hand. Like, I've heard stories of people, who drink every single day, and then they'll complain about getting a headache because they're not drinking, and then have no idea that they're addicted to alcohol. They have no idea that that's an addiction they have. And so it's a lack of education, which comes hand in hand with poverty. And there's a systemic motivation to keep those, to keep those people poor. Because, it's in order to have super wealthy people, you have to have super impoverished people. And I don't know what I was on about. I miss when YouTube didn't censor comments. Same here. I wish YouTube stayed free and open in terms of free speech. Do you know Pamper Chew? I've never heard of that guy before. So I just found out who he is. He need help for his problems. Pamper Chew. I mean, I don't have the time to help some random guy, but he's on the Kiwi Farms guy who runs for his money to steal. I don't care. I don't give a fuck about Kiwi Farms. I've never seen the problem anywhere else. Maybe Aboriginals just have worse genes. Like, I don't know enough about the history of their race, but like, there are very rare cases in which groups of people breed with one another who just have bad genes. They're bad at adapting. They're bad at doing certain things. And it causes them to create a group of people who, like, and I don't I don't like saying that LMAO, eugenics lover star. Yeah, like, let me back this up a little bit. Like, in general, like, I don't think intellectual ability is tied to race. You know, there's a broad swath of people that are in, you know, in different races. But when you come down to like tribal people, like people who are in tribes, they're a very small ethnic group. Those people could easily have a shit ton of incest going on with one another, you know? Like if they're constantly having incest within their race, then yeah, they're going to have, you know, lowered cognitive abilities. I'm not talking about the Aboriginal specifically, but I think you can point to very small, isolated cases where this does happen. And I'm not a race realist. I believe in racial equality. You know, I think the wrongs of slavery and other forms of systemic racism should be righted, but there is an undeniable link between dumb people breeding with one another to produce more dumb people, or genetic defects due to like incest or and these kind of things. It happens. It's not common. It's not like a major issue. I think in general, like, human beings are individuals, and if given the proper environment to live out their potential, they can. It's possible, but there are these small isolated cases where the genetics just are bad, or they just have, you know. So I don't want to make any conclusive statements about the Aboriginals specifically or their race. Again, I just want to clarify. But I do think it is possible. You know, it's within the realm of possibility based on what we know about genetics. Um, let's see. Not sure how it started. Probably there was no other way to get high, but I think it's just kind of in the culture now. I see. Kiwi farms and lolcow groups have no morals. Yeah, they tend to be pretty vicious, and a lot of the viciousness doesn't make sense to me. Like, I don't know why they're that vicious. I suppose like you can break it down to the small, like these guys, they're just experiencing a lot in their life, and you know, they've become so emotionally detached, and they see the internet as a playground, so they're just gonna take out their worst feels on this guy. Or maybe they don't have a reason at all. They don't have a justification, or not a. They don't have a reason why they ended up there. You know. And they just like doing bad stuff, or they just like hurting other people, and it's easy for them from their room because there's no consequences. And you can find some very dangerous people who, without the idea of consequences, they'll do pretty much, you know, whatever they can to get some sort of pleasure from hurting somebody else. And I've been there. There's a number of people who I've enjoyed hurting, but I don't think that's a behavior that you should cultivate. You know, I don't think that's a behavior that you should consistently try to do, because for one, it's bad for you, and it's bad for society too. Like, the more suffering that there is in the world is generally a bad thing. So I don't know why you would want to produce more suffering. You know, morality is what you do when no one is looking is a good saying. That is true. That, like, they have a misguided sense of karma and justice. Yeah, I think they look at a lot of these messed up lolcow folks, and they assume that they're irredeemable. You know, they just can't get better. They just can't change. And that's not true. If you give someone the resources and you really believe in them, and society isn't constantly telling you that you're broken or you're a failure, you have the chance to get better. It is possible, and that's why, you know, rehabilitative prisons are such an important thing. If we had rehabilitative justice, instead of just putting people in prison and telling them, "Oh yeah, you're gonna be fucked up for the rest of your life, dude. Have fun with that." Of course, they're gonna get more fucked up because everyone around them is telling them that they're a monster. You know, like, you should believe in people. Believe in people's ability to change. You know, you may have made mistakes, but those mistakes don't define you. Even if you've done terrible things, those things don't define you. You can still be better. You can still work to improve yourself. And I feel like the society we live in just perpetuates people. It just perpetuates people continuing the same bad behavior. It's like Erwin is saying, punitive justice is self-destructive for society. It really is. It just continues benefiting, the private prison contractors who, use essentially slave labor to have more people be locked into prison, and for those people to work to make wages for these fat cats, where there's an active incentive to profit off of punitive justice, at least in the country I live in. And I think that's not good. That if I, like, the likelihood of me being mugged on the street, I feel like would be a lot lower if we had a rehabilitative prison system the way that, like, Norway or Sweden does. As for the worst people who can't be redeemed, maybe we could have some controlled exile. I don't know. I mean, in general, like, I'm not in favor of 4 life sentences, and I'm against the death penalty as well. So I don't know what we'd do with those people. Maybe we'll give them a TV show, or they can be the president or whatever. I don't know. 99% are probably redeemable, though. I don't know about 99%, but I'd say the number's pretty high. Part of me actually does feel bad for Chris Chan. Also, you just described Gunji. Yeah. I have trouble feeling bad for people. Like, you're a nice person, Star, but I feel like you're a bit idealistic. Maybe I am idealistic. I don't know. I appreciate the compliment. I generally try not to cause any trouble, so I'm glad you said that. But yeah, it's like, I have trouble feeling bad for anybody. It's like what I said is that actions should matter more than what you feel. Is that, like, guilt, for example. I feel zero guilt when I do, like, I've done horrible things, genuinely horrible things, and just haven't felt any guilt for them, but I've corrected the behavior, and correcting the behavior was the important part. Like, actually doing things differently the next time around, that's what matters. And so I feel like I'm a bit emotionally stunted. I'm a bit emotionally stunted when it comes to empathy. Like, in general, it's hard for me to feel bad for anybody. And I don't know what you would call that. Like, I've joked a little bit. I've joked a little bit about about the idea of maybe being a bit of a psycho, being a bit of a sociopath or something. I don't know. I feel like I'm probably not, but I don't know. Maybe I am. Who knows? Lol, have you seen what Sweden has been going through? Yeah, with immigration and stuff and austerity, that's all really bad. I mean, I don't support, like, open borders or whatever. I think there should actually be a pretty strong immigration system. I don't, like, want a wall or whatever. It'd be kind of funny if we had a wall, though. Like, I might support a wall just because it's funny. But like, I generally think that most countries tend to take in too many immigrants. Like, if we just paid reparations to all of the Middle Eastern countries that we've bombed, there would be no refugee crisis to speak of. Well, I mean, if we didn't bomb the countries in the first place, there'd be no refugee crisis. But, like, is one of those things where you really have to sit down and be like, well, why? Who's benefiting from taking all of these refugees? Who's benefiting from that? It's like, obviously, people who want really cheap labor, these companies who want the cheap labor of immigrants who don't have the same rights as normal citizens, they're going to want a lot of refugees. But, like, average everyday people, it's going to lead to more austerity, social life is going to be more unstable. Like, you have to consider the ramifications of who's in charge and how these policies actually affect people. And the way to stop the refugee crisis is it's to stop the illegal and unjust wars, and it's to pay reparations to the countries that we've, blown to smithereens, that we've committed all of these war crimes, and that led to the refugee crisis in the first place. Oh, that's my view, at least. That's my opinion. But I definitely don't think taking in all of these refugees is the way to go. It's been an unmitigated disaster for Sweden and Germany and some of the other European countries. The only people who've enjoyed it are, the people who have profited off of it, which is, again, people who are employing low-wage labor from immigrants. I'm just being optimistic. I don't know what the actual numbers are. I know it's a majority, though, since most crimes are non-violent crimes in quotations. I would agree. Woohoo, a star live stream. Yes! It's nice seeing you, Flivochega, as always. I think you were too thoughtful to be a sociopath? Maybe. I try to choose thoughtfulness over not. So who knows? But be careful because with strong immigration system, your European dream goes away. That is true. That is true. I'm a beneficiary of Europe being so kind to immigrants because eventually when I go off to the Netherlands or wherever the hell, I'm gonna need that daft visa. I'm gonna need the easier way to get in. It's hard for me to feel bad for people as well. Sometimes I don't feel at all. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to fix this either. And to be honest, I don't really want to. Like, I feel like life is just so much easier when you just don't care, when you just radically accept your environment and the things around. Like, you can still change it, but when you have the acceptance that, even if the way that I try to change it doesn't work, it's going to be this way anyway, that's nice. It's comforting to not feel as many emotions, only feel the important ones, I guess, feel like pleasure and stuff. But like, I didn't choose to be as emotionally numb as I am. I just am. But like, a lot of the emotional numbness that I have is towards like painful things, like cringing at stuff or feeling empathy for people. That's painful. It's painful to do that. The fact that I don't feel it, or the fact that like, I can't feel a lot of things, to me, like, I think that's actually a good thing, because as a whole there's less bad experiences. Again, it's about your actions. As long as you take the good actions, that's really all that matters. Immigration, if done correctly, as in with social safety nets and unions, then it helps. Immigration by and large helps economies grow, though. I mean, like, it really depends. Like, I don't know enough about it. I haven't done enough research, so I'm not speaking from a position of authority. But yeah, I don't know how to do immigration correctly. I mean, I'm just one guy. But if you have some like interesting links on that you could send me over Discord, I'd definitely be interested to hear that perspective. I don't know enough about it. Um, uh, either borderline, either sociopath/borderline sociopath, or autism, because autistic people also have a hard time feeling empathy. I've had doctors suggest to me before that I'm autistic. Um, one of them was pretty. One of them was pretty. What is it called? I forget what it was. Like, insistent about it. Like, they were like, yes, you have autism. And but I've had other doctors say the exact opposite. So in general, like, in general, diagnoses are pretty subjective. Like, I've related a lot to the schizoid personality disorder in some ways. Obviously, I'm not a schizoid because I'm too social to be one, but, you know, like, like I can sort of see myself in a lot of them, where, like, the way my doctor outlines me now, like, they haven't given me a diagnosis yet. I don't get a diagnosis until April 2nd or April 3rd, because I had to do this long-ass psychological testing. Like, all day I did psychological testing one day. And it was insane. But I'm gonna get the results of that, of the testing I did in February and April, in early April. So I'll find out what I am then. But right now, my doctor has me listed as what was it, behavioral instability, or something like that. Personal behavioral instability is the way they couldn't even give me a they couldn't even give me a diagnosis. They just, yeah, you're just unstable, bro. Which I don't even know if I agree with that. But from what I read, were the cause of the terrorist problems from camps we set up when we were looking for Saddam Hussein. I mean, like, in general, like, the Iraq War caused a whole bunch of stability because Saddam Hussein had been fighting Al Qaeda, and similarly, radical Sunni Wahhabist groups within the Middle East for like years. It's crazy to think about that the people who we bombed in the Middle East, the countries that we've attacked the most or have tried to attack, are, you know, the Republic of Iraq, the, you know, the Syrian Arab Republic, the Islamic Republic of Iran. Like, these are not, you know, these are not monarchies the way that Saudi Arabia or Jordan or what's another one, or Kuwait or Qatar, or like these are not autocratic monarchies. They may be very undemocratic and authoritarian, but they still have the guise of a republic, you know? Saudi Arabia does not have rigged elections, you know? Saudi Arabia just has a Sunni Wahhabist monarchy that controls everything. And so the people who we went after were the people who were not only fighting against Al-Qaeda and ISIS and al-Nusra and these other Wahhabist derivatives who were, by the way, funded by Saudi Arabia from the beginning. Those are the people we went after. And so, you know, Saddam, Assad, these are not good guys. These are bad guys, by just about every measure. But that doesn't mean that, you know, us going into illegal and offensive wars with them wasn't, you know, less stupid. You know, the way that you take out bad guys is through diplomacy, not through illegally invading and occupying a country, only to, again, embolden the people who they were fighting against the whole time, which is radical Islamic terrorism. But the reason we do it is to help out our buddies in Saudi Arabia. So, you know, is what it is. Let's see here. Also, programs to help immigrants culturally assimilate more is good. It seems like a good thing, yeah. I mean, I think in general you should assimilate into the culture that you're in. You should have respect with the country that you're in and the cultural values that country has. If you're not trying to assimilate, you're not trying hard enough. Infinitely Blank says, "Hey Star, I hope everything is going well for you. Good to see you streaming again." Yeah, thank you. Everything's going pretty good. Let's see here. Empathy doesn't have to be painful. It is when you're feeling someone else's pain, but feeling someone else's joy is also empathy. I think you know, like, you kind of have to have both. In order to regularly get that kind of empathy, you kind of have to have both. And I guess it's just a trade-off, you know what I mean? I'd rather not feel the pain, and also not feel someone's joy if it just means that I, you know, don't have to feel the pain. It's about balance and boundaries. I mean, fair enough. Red should migrate to North Korea and stop being an idiot. It would be funny if Red became North Korean. He could probably do it, right? You know, he has Korean heritage and shit. It would be very funny. Vlogging from North Korea on my Red Star OS PC. From what I know, the economic census is that immigration helps economies grow. However, you are correct that without unions or social safety nets, immigrants can just be exploited. In terms of how much immigrants uproot the native culture, it depends on the question. I mean, all American culture is just a culture of immigrants, whereas Europe is not like this and more complicated. It makes sense. I agree. When I was a hikikomori, I was displaying symptoms of paranoid schizophrenia because the isolation was making me go insane. That makes sense. Like, there are, what is it called? There are situations that you're in that can totally change your behavior and the way that you process the world. YouTube keeps deleting my comments. I really wish they would stop doing that. They've been doing that to a lot of people. Even the Taliban had almost nothing to do with Al-Qaeda. Yeah, the Taliban arose from the instability, is that there was instability in the region caused by intervention in Afghanistan and Iraq and these various other countries, that the Taliban just naturally arose from that. Yo, Starman, what up? Don't you have school tomorrow? I mean, technically, but dude, I have not shown up to school since December. Like, early December, I have not shown up to school. So, I mean, I guess you could technically say I have school, but I mean, I haven't shown up. Let's see, and yet, by simply proximity, we ended up in an incredibly pointless wars that's been waged for like 20 years. That is true. We live in a world where goods and services are transported enormous distances to exploit the cheap slaves because what if they got ideas about rising above their station? Well put, man. Well put. there are no easy answers to the political question of immigrants, but I think closing down the borders just breeds xenophobia and nationalism, which ain't good. Maybe if we get a good world government going, immigration can be done more smoothly worldwide. I think like in an ideal world, a world government would be good, but like states generally lead to corruption, especially if you have really big states. Like the bigger the government is, the more likely it is to be corrupt, or not more likely, but like a lot of bad things happen when you have to organize big groups of people. There's just way more complicating factors. And so I feel like a world government wouldn't work. I wouldn't want to I wouldn't want to live in a world government either, because there are advantages you can get, and I guess maybe this is me as an egoist saying this, but there are advantages you can get living in certain countries that you can't get in others, because of culture, where like if I wanted to go to a country that like decriminalized all drugs for possession, for instance, like Portugal, um, that may not fly in a world government, because the Pakistani representation in the world government vetoes it or whatever. Um, so it really is it would be nice ideally, but yeah, I don't think it would work. But yeah, xenophobia is generally bad. Xenophobia and nationalism ain't good. Let's see here. Let's see. I won't mode going back to Ireland to learn more about my heritage. Yeah, if you're Irish, I feel like there is a pretty deep heritage to learn there. Um, the Taliban also rose from Pakistani intelligence training. Eyes emote. Damn. Obama is connected to the Muslim Brotherhood. Uh, Look up the 25 neocons who planned out the Iraqis-Iraq war. Also cleaned the break papers. Yeah. Yeah, Obama was connected to a lot of these very shadowy figures in the Middle East. Um, Red's next video, vlogging from North Korea with my Korean GF, gone wrong, gone sexual, and then after that she dumped me. I'm sad. Absolutely based. Yes. Um, do you have school and don't go? Don't your parents tell you to go? I don't get that. How do you manage that? Um, so I explained this earlier in the stream, is that well, for one, I just live with my dad. My mom doesn't live here. My mom lives in a different state. So my mom lives in a different state. Like there's no way of her even knowing that I don't go to school most of the days. But in the school that I go to, I have this computer class where it's a class where I just get on the computer and I do all of the subjects from the computer. Um, I'll answer your question in a minute there, Mike. But yeah, so I do everything on the computer, and they're very very like free with attendance. They basically don't care how much you show up to school or how much you get things done. You're just on paper as someone who goes to school. And so staying at home all the time doesn't really matter, because all the work is on the computer, and they don't care how much work you get done in this class either. So it's basically just free for all. Um, yeah, it's no one cares. The people who work at the school don't care. My dad, doesn't really care. No one cares. Um, Fuck, it's real anxiety hours right now. I swear I just heard someone shout from the outside of the sliding door of my house, but no one is there. I'll be right in a few minutes. Wasn't real. Yeah. I hope you're able to calm there soon. Soon. It's not a good feel at all. Um, Dang Sato lol. Yeah, Hiki really BTFO'd Red there. I don't disagree, but I imagine a centralized world government would reduce the amount of conflict in the world by a lot. Oh, absolutely, 100%. If that's like your main goal, then there would be less conflict in general. But I feel like the way in which conflict would stir up would be precisely due to the fact that the organization would be so large that you wouldn't be able to keep track of all of those factors at once. And so the kind of conflicts we would see are bureaucratic conflicts. Parts where, certain rules don't work, certain rules stop being enforced, conflicts within factions of the government who's ruling the place. There would be conflicts, but they would be new conflicts as a result of the system. Why don't you like nationalism? Now, I don't think that nationalism is inherently bad depending on the context. For example, Irish nationalism I think is a good thing because Irish people are oppressed by the British. Northern Ireland is culturally Irish territory. I know there are conflicts between the religions, but there's also cases in which, like, especially under the Thatcher government and previous British governments, under the Conservative Party, funding religious extremism in Northern Ireland, funding religious extremism in order to sow divisions between Catholics and Christians. So there's this sort of imaginary, well, it's not imaginary, but there's this systemic cause for the sort of cultural divisions between Northern and normal Ireland that are ultimately wrought by the British occupation of the Irish territory. And so Ireland, it's an example of an oppressed country. They're being, oppressed and occupied by the British. And so in their case, nationalism is a good thing. No, if you're a third world country that's occupied by America or one of the other superpowers, or just like your economy is heavily exploited by foreign companies, being a nationalist in that context is not a bad thing because you're an oppressed nation. But if I were to start being a nationalist for America, it's like, what do I have to be a nationalist about? Like it's one thing to have pride in your country. You can be patriotic. Patriotism, if patriotism comes from a good place and you want to use it to improve things, and that's fine. Being patriotic is okay. But like nationalism, I think like if I were a nationalist for America, I would be sitting here being like, yeah, the occupation of these countries is a good thing. The Native American genocide, like it may have not been a good thing, but I can vibe with it. Like I don't know, like I suppose it depends on what your definition is, but it's one of those things where the idea of being a nationalist towards the idea of being a nationalist towards an imperialistic country, it just seems very suspicious to me. I don't like it personally. Um, let's see here. I wouldn't want to centralize blah blah blah. I wouldn't want to eliminate states or nations. Just have an overarching government that helps facilitate global acts like climate change or immigration. But at the end of the day, this is me playing fictional world building. The chances of this happening is pretty low with the rise of nationalism worldwide. It makes sense. Let's see. I don't know if the larger government is more corrupt is the way it has to be. It might seem like that on the face of it, but then consider the difference between the USA and South America or Africa. I mean, I'd say the USA is pretty corrupt. Like, we don't have police corruption and stuff. But I mean, in comparison to those other countries, we are less corrupt. But like, we have huge amounts of political lobbying and stuff, and also like election problems, like people closing polling stations too early in like Latino neighborhoods and stuff, or people like counting ballots wrong. Like there are ways in which the hand of corruption shows itself in the United States. It's different. It's more hidden, but it's definitely there. Especially, with like political lobbying, all of our politicians basically being bought. That's not very good. Let's see. Central planning fucks countries. It depends on how you look at it, right? Is that we can see a correlation between central planning and being more authoritarian in the system. But economically, like time and time and time again, we've seen central planning produce results that are, unparalleled or unheard of in the history of impoverished countries getting out of poverty. Like, we know central planning works insanely well in a country like China, but I would never want to live in China because it's authoritarian and basic, human rights and civil liberties are infringed upon. And so economically, central planning works really well, but in terms of human life, like, free speech and these different things, it does not. Um, let's see, or Yugoslavia versus their Balkanized successors. That's fair enough. Um, this stream is comfy. Thank you. Also, I hate tradition and culture. I think traditions can be interesting, cultures can be interesting, but the point, it's always about nuance. Like, you can't dedicate yourself to them to such an extent that you become against other people. Um, it definitely creates a huge point of failure, but our entire civilization is already speeding towards collapse at full speed anyway. I agree. My neat friend from New Zealand hates the British because how they treated Germany in World War II. He likes Hitler. That's pretty cringy. That's pretty cringy, man. I mean, everyone has the right to their own opinion, but geez. uh, let's see. Yeah, a lot of my answers died. A lot of my ancestors died in the Holocaust. Is it my great grandpa? He was a German Jew. He was a German Jew who came over here, essentially like a Holocaust survivor. But a lot of the people in his family were not Holocaust survivors. Let's just say that. A unified humanity requires major evolutions and or transcending current concepts of government. Current models wouldn't work. Nationalism is situationally good. Yeah. Yeah. I don't like Hitler. He was a shithead. Likes Hitler is a neat. It checks out. Damn. Insane idiot over here. Spitting straight fire. Uh, American nationalism, in my view, would be the opposite of the imperialism that we have now. It depends on how you look at it, right? Like, if you're talking from like an isolationist point of view, like what more of a paleo conservative like Tucker Carlson would advocate for, then I would not be opposed to that. If like a nationalist government came in and said we want to end all of the wars and just be like isolationist, I'd take it over what we currently have. Um, no, it goes guns and diabetes blowing shit up. Nice. I don't want central planning. Let's see. We do have police corruption. It's just formalized. Some cities and municipalities are also more funded by petty ticketing than taxes, while they also balloon police budgets and cut everything else. It is circumstantial based on the context in the city and the way that they do things. There is definitely police corruption. I didn't mean to say that there wasn't any. I'm just talking about like you literally paying police money, or like police like coming to your house with guns asking you for money when you didn't commit a crime, you know? Like I was talking about that type of police corruption. Of course, we have general police corruption, profiling of Latino and black people and these kind of things, you know. Um, let's see here. So you're against something like the EU, idiot. Sorry, not calling you idiot. That's just your name. Damn. That cat, though, epic eyes. The cat really does have epic eyes. I like him. Um, I'm not reading all this stuff. Let's see here. I want United States of Africa, USA too. I'd be down for that. I feel like world would be easier. I don't think that would ever work because Africa is such a diverse continent, but that'd be pretty cool. In high school, I got called a Nazi for being goth. Damn. That sounds pretty silly. I'd rather be called a Nazi than be called goth. I'd rather be called goth because at least there's no baggage of like wanting to genocide other races. Star, what are your thoughts on the racist girl who likes Hitler called Evelyn or Avalon? I don't think I don't think I've heard of this person before, or if I have, it was on like R9K a year ago and I forgot about it. But I mean, this is the thing: is that these women these women are inevitably going to get popular on the internet because there's a group of men who are Nazis and like Hitler, and they're lonely, and so they see a woman having the same point of view as them, and then they immediately get obsessed with her and start sharing pictures, and they become a meme, right? And so like I don't really care unless their personality is just really interesting. Like, I feel like the reason why a lot of these women who have radical beliefs, the reason why they get popular is just because they're women. It's literally just because they're women, and there are more men on the internet, and there are very lonely men who are on the internet, and they want to be like, oh, she likes like the nerdy things like I do. And there's nothing inherently wrong with finding something like that cute. Like, if you just find it cute, it's fine. But I'm talking about, like, dick riding. Like, people making them a meme and becoming completely obsessed with them, you know? East African Federation for the win. Nice, yes. Star, what do you think about the recent resurgence of Nazism and Jewish conspiracies and the correlation between the declining economic failures of Westerners? I think there is a correlation there, because when people are more economically destitute, when people are desperate, they go to alternative ways of organizing things, because they say, well, the current system's not working, and so we need something new. And in certain cases, that's like classic European social democracy that's been done for the last, 60, 70 years or whatever by most of Europe, like what Bernie Sanders advocates for. And in other cases, it's violent, political extremism against racial groups, like what, someone like the Richard Spencer or one of these guys would advocate for. And it's a growing trend. And part of it is because of, the consistent, promotion of these ideas by, people who are in positions of power, just sort of presenting it as like, this is the cool thing, or this is the funny joke that everyone can do, LMAO. And a lot of these jokes are funny, like this alt-right, like I enjoy a lot of these alt-right jokes, but socially, like, it's become acceptable to have those kind of beliefs and joke about those kind of things. And so I'm not saying that's the cause, but it reinforces the cultural climate that we're already in, which is people being really, really desperate and needing an answer. And sometimes simple answers like, oh, the Jews did it, the Jews are just bad, and that's why our economy is messed up. Like, they find that answer, and it's easy to understand, and now they have an enemy. They have someone who they can fight against. They have a target. And at least then it's better than believing that, nothing is going to work because society is fundamentally broken and blah, blah, blah. Like, most people don't want to be hopeless. They want to attach themselves to a movement, like Christianity or whatever. They want a big movement of people where they can feel like they're a part of it. And a lot of Nazis, they like the community aspect. They like the hope that it gives them for a better world, and they want to change the country. Because they feel like they have no other option. When people are desperate, they take desperate measures, It's like, well, my life is going to be fucked anyway, so why don't I just roll the dice on this Nazi thing? And so I think that's definitely a part of it. Let's see here. I feel like the people who like Nazism online are just the ultimate edgy contrarians who believe anything the majority of people say is shit and is actually secretly based. I mean, those people definitely exist. Let's see. She was a YouTuber who made pro-Nazi videos in 2016. Leafy even talked about her, and Poll turned her into a meme. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't really watch Leafy's videos, so I just didn't know. I wish World War III just broke out already. I mean, it would be pretty cool. I'd like to see it. It'd be based. Sato, I remember her YouTube channel banned her. YouTube banned her. Need to rearrange some borders. I'd be fine with some borders being shooken up. You don't have to wish for too long there, Hebe. I doubt World War III is actually coming. What up, squad? Hey, nice seeing you here, dirty, nasty-ish. I don't think I've ever seen you before. Global map is too meh. Yeah, I want the map to change as well. Even the flat earth shit is retreading the same old garbage from 2 centuries ago. It's true. Like, this stuff has been disproven by history, but people try to go back to it anyway. Read The True Believer by Eric Hoffer. It's a study on mass movements. Okay. Like, at least David Icke's Lizardman had some creativity put into that shit. Yeah. People aren't creative enough. People aren't creative enough with their conspiracy theories. I stop by now and again. Hope you're doing well, fam. Hey, thank you. I'm doing pretty good. Damn, why is it cutting out a lot of my comments? I don't know why YouTube does that. I have it in my settings to allow all comments, but YouTube does it anyway. Fuck the NEETs fighting in World War III. We're doomed. Yeah, I mean, if like NEETs get enlisted into the military, like military conscription, like they're forced to go in, a lot of those people are not going to be able to fight. I wouldn't be able to fight. Of course, I have mental health problems, so I wouldn't be I would not be conscripted into the military because I would be a liability on the battlefield because my mental health problems are, they I have too long of a history and they're too severe in that context. Too many factors could go wrong. Infinite Blank, I low-key believe there are Neanderthals in Antarctica and the scientists of superpowers are conducting human experiments on these lesser humans. It'd be pretty cool. Like, I think there is significant evidence to say that, like, Bigfoot, for example, exists. Um, well, I guess they're not a friend anymore. They kind of unfriended me. But someone who I used to know made a really, like, cohesive, like, well-researched argument for why Bigfoot probably exists. And I don't know. You never know. You never know. Who needs Neanderthals when you have Trump supporters for that? Like I hate these condescending liberal jokes. Like I get it. I get it that it's like haha, people, how could anyone vote for Trump? Funny. But like for one, like they're not even really creative jokes. It's just kind of saying, "Oh, the other side is dumb." But it's also genuinely alienating to people who believe those things. I don't think a lot of the people who support Trump are just dolts. I think they just don't pay attention to a lot of what's in the media and they're like, "Yeah, I'll take a chance on this guy." I don't think they're dumb. Even the people who are actively supporting him, like those people aren't inherently stupid. They're just sort of led in the wrong direction. They didn't have the opportunity to have a proper education in these kind of things. I don't think they're all just dolts. But and I try to refrain from making jokes that are like that are like, ha ha, ha, everyone who's not on my side is wrong. Whoo, whoo, like it's alienating, and also there's not much of a point for it. I don't think. I don't know. Um, it's 5:40 a.m. My mind is not working at 100% capacity in edgy joke section of my mind. Oh, it's okay. I wasn't trying to nag on you too hard. But I don't I wanted to use it as a springboard to make a broader point. Nice retro, bringing in some of that lit Hollow Earth shit. It's okay. The entire military industrial complex is also mentally ill. I mean, they're certainly psychopaths. Um, where there's s'more, there's also fire. Admiral Bird was onto something, but the whole Hollow Earth slash UFO nonsense is a bit far fetched still. I think it's possible for UFOs to exist. Um, the DNC has made their choice, really struggling to imagine how perennial failure Biden is going to beat Trump, but hell, I'll play along. Yeah, night man, stay frosty. Good night. The DNC doesn't want to win. No, the DNC would profit more off of Biden losing than they would profit off of Bernie winning. Because if Biden wins a second term, or if Trump wins, I had a gaffe. I had a Biden tier gaffe there. It was a slip of my tongue, as you would say. Um, but if Trump won re-election, the DNC would have a huge donor base where they could send out emails being like, guys, the time is now. We have to re-elect the sitting Democrats in Congress to keep Trump under control. And, it's like every single email you get from the Democratic Party is always like insanely worried, like this is the end of the world. We need to protect our party. And this kind of thing. And it's really pathetic to read sometimes, where if you get like an email from, the Trump people, it's always talking about we're winning and we can't stop winning. The DNC needs more of that energy. But in general, like they would profit way more off of Trump winning a second term. than Bernie winning, because Bernie winning is going to get a lot of them fired for one, and it's going to shake up the ideology of the party, which the reason that ideology exists is because they're owned and controlled by big money donors. It's part of the permanent state. But like if Biden lost, the DNC would get way more donations from their base. They could have a huge media firestorm every single day about the next Trump scandal. Oh my God, democracy is over. Blah blah blah. So, you know, it is what it is. They've made their choice. Um, Star, what do you think about all the flag burning people did in protest of Trump? I don't care. It's their freedom of speech. Like, it constitutionally, people have the freedom to express even vehemently anti-government sentiments to the point of saying the nation should be burned. Um, like, if that's what you believe, then I'm going to protect your freedom of speech. It's in the Constitution. I don't have a personal opinion on the flag burning. I think if you're trying to get Americans into a movement that you're a part of, flag burning is not the way to do it, because most Americans feel proud of their country, they feel patriotic, and like I said, there's nothing wrong with being patriotic as long as it comes out of a genuine want for improvement of the country. But burning flags is just alienating. Like normal Americans, they're going to look at that and go, this guy is insane, he's too politically radical for me. And so if you're trying to build a coalition, I don't think flag burning is the way. I think it's very self-indulgent. It's very like, I'm right and I'm proud of it and I'm going to be so right that I just put it in front of everyone. Um, but I mean, I will protect their right I will defend their right for freedom of speech, and free organization. Do you think 9/11 was an inside job? I think it's very possible. Like the footage we have of 9/11, the way the buildings exploded, like I could see bombs being inside of the buildings with the way the blasts went. Um, I I'm fairly certain that the people who were in the plane at the time, because pretty much all of them were Saudi Arabian, with the exception of like two people, and the fact that Osama bin Laden, has a hugely successful family in Saudi Arabia. The bin Laden family is one of the most powerful groups in the entire country, and the fact that we know that Saudi Arabia has funded ISIS and Al Qaeda and these other Sunni Wahhabist groups, it could be very likely that people inside of the U.S. government knew this was coming, and wanted it to happen. Do I think it's confirmed that it's an inside job? No, but like given the U.S. relationship with Saudi Arabia and the fact that the Al Qaeda people in that plane were almost all Saudi Arabian, it's very likely that it could have been an inside job. I'm not saying it was, but it's something that people should explore. 9/11 should be further investigated. I don't think it's been investigated enough. Um, Will they get more donations from their base? They can't accomplish anything. I have a feeling they'll be going the way of the Whig Party. Well, the thing is that the people who donate to the DNC are also the same people who watch MSNBC constantly. Like they're older liberals who are just obsessed with watching television. So, I mean, I can see it. I can see it happening. But again, in a Sanders administration, they would be out of a job. So it's like, do we get increased support here and there, or are we out of a job? That's what the question is. Book burning is even more based. I guess it depends on the book. In general, I don't think people should burn books. I think knowledge should be free. Um, no, of course, it's terrible optics. Just saying it's based nonetheless for the meme. I agree. The USA should just nuke their enemies. Why not? Uh, my view on 9/11 is that I shouldn't speculate too much on it, but it's very possible the US was doing some super shady shit around the whole event. Yeah, I agree. I agree with the general sentiment there. Um, uh, yeah. World is a fuck. World's a fuck. Everybody knows shit. Fuck. Um, do 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 do. Mm. What do you guys want to talk about now? Yeah, I don't know what to talk about now. Give me some juice, energy. Let's do it. Moldova? You said Moldavia. World is a fuck. Watch hentai, drink sugar. I agree. Um, Moldova is pretty cool. I would like to visit there. I think visiting there would be really cheap just because the US dollar in comparison to their currency is a lot. Um, and yeah, I'd like to visit Moldova at some point. They have like the old Soviet kind of vibe with the architecture there, which I'm a huge fan of. I love like brutalism and the cement apartment blocks and stuff. I love the way that looks. Some people think it looks trashy and broken down, and at this point it does look broken down. But I love the way that old aesthetic looks. And so I would love to visit Moldova, perhaps make some friends there with some older people. It's interesting because the demographics of Moldova, they tend to go very, very old. Very, very old. Mostly old people live there. All the younger people tend to migrate to other countries. Coronavirus looks like that shakeup that's going to break the world is currently happening as we speak. Yeah, the stock market, is in the is not going to crash, or maybe it will. I don't know, but it's like it's teetering on. That was the word I was looking for. It's teetering on crashing right now. So it is, and it looks like the cases in the US continue just going up. This is one reason why I've sort of altered my course of action as well, is that I said, well, as soon as May hits, I'm just gonna go away from home and like become homeless somewhere, bro. Well, no, it's it's a little more complicated than that now, what with the coronavirus being as widespread as it's starting to become, with, more than 1,000 cases in the US and these different things. It's only going to get bigger. Like the Trump administration's response to the coronavirus was literally to pray. If your response is to pray, we're fucked. He puts famous science denier Mike Pence in charge of the coronavirus. We're on our own here. And while the cases are decreasing on their end, and the situation there seems to be getting better, albeit with huge, huge economic losses as a result for not just them but the global economy. It seems to be getting better there, but in the U.S. and other countries, the situation is just getting worse, and it's just going to get worse. The cases are going to increase, and boomer side is going to happen. The mortality rate for young people is quite low. That is true, but at the same time, my immune system is bad, so we got to consider that. Um, are you going to relapse as a NEET when you turn 18? I mean, I basically like it depends on your definition of a NEET, because I don't go to school, I don't do school. I'm just registered in school. I'm registered in school, but I don't participate in any of it, and I haven't for months. Like you could call my what's it called YouTube channel like a part-time job basically. So I'm basically like a freeder, I guess you could say. Um, I guess you would consider me a NEET the moment that I stop making money from YouTube. Like when the YouTube money stops coming in, I guess you would consider me a NEET at that point. And then yeah, I would be a NEET. I don't know about relapsing the moment I turn 18. That's only a month away. I'm pretty sure I'll still be making money then. Um, let's see here. And also, like, again, with me getting NEET bucks and everything, I have to wait at least 3 months to up to a year to find out if I got approved. Um, I have that going for me. I can talk my father into me getting a GED instead of continuing to go to school. I get a bit of money from like Social Security because of my mom for attending school or at least being registered. Of course, that's going to get cut off when I turn 19. But so it's complicated. There's a lot of factors. Uh, but in general, if you're talking about strictly like not being, not being employed, that probably is my future. Yeah, is just not being employed. Which, I mean, it frees me up. It gives me a lot of time to write. It gives me a lot of free time to, make new friends, IRL and online. Freedom, Um, the serious complication rate is at least 20%. That's not good. Mortality rate for young people will shoot way, way up when you run out of ventilators to keep them alive. That is true. I mean, I have healthcare, but hell, you might not be right, blank. Um, I don't know. Uh, my school canceled for 2 weeks because of coronavirus. Wow, it's already gotten to that point. Um, how does it feel to almost be an adult? Pretty good. I think the more I get older and the more experiences I have, the more emotionally stable I am. Like the more I've gotten older, it's just the better at stuff that I've gotten, and I feel like that's the case for a lot of people. Is that now that I'm becoming an adult, I feel like I'm just going to improve on things. Like I see every single year as an opportunity to be a better person. So when turning 18, how am I going to be a better person than when I was 17? And I'm already kind of doing that, and I have an idea of what I can do, as I turn 18. But not really much is going to change other than that. Like I'll be allowed to vote. I can buy cough syrup without having to show, or well, I'll have to show ID, but I can legally buy cough syrup. Uh what else could I do? Yeah, that's like my I'll be allowed to go wherever I want. That'll be nice, being able to just get on a bus and go somewhere. Go to another state, get a hotel. I'll be able to do stuff like that. I think having more freedoms will be nice. But other than that, it's just an opportunity to it's an opportunity to get better. Gonna go to bed. Good night, man. Yeah, good night to you as well, Hiki. It was nice talking to you. Not being employed is truly the best. I agree. I quit my job a week ago. Fuck getting coronavirus on public transport. Absolutely based. Um, Turning an adult 1 year ago just made me stop questioning my life more and start planning more. That's good. Um, wow, YouTube Thanos my comment away. They keep doing that. I wish they would stop. Um, uh, the problem is most people's plans on adulthood rely on the idea of the big other. That the people in charge have a plan, and that if you follow the plan and work hard, you will have a secure and comfortable existence and be able to retire in prosperity. Yeah, the big secret is this: the people in charge are idiots, and there is no plan, and we're all in deep shit. It's true. Like I've talked with people who are graduates of STEM fields, like good STEM fields, and they went to a good school, and they're working minimum wage jobs, and those minimum wage jobs are hard enough for them to get, and so no job is truly secure, but now job insecurity is especially a big deal. Um, no one is ever secure in their existence. People can be comfortable in it, though. Nobody ever fucking knows what they're doing. I mean by secure as in existentially secure. I don't know if I fully agree with that. I think, like on a broad philosophical level, you're correct. But like you can have stability. You can have very consistent stability if you just try hard enough. But that takes a lot of time and effort. But yeah. Uh, it's the whole system's fucked. Um, you can get $7,000 to test shots. That is an idea that I've had. I'd like to do that. Actually, yeah, that's one of the benefits of being 18. Is I'll be able to get money to have shots and other things tested on me, which will be nice. It'll be nice to have extra money to do that. I mean, it's a huge risk to your physical and mental health. But I'm poor, dude. I've been poor my entire life, and I'm doing better financially now than I ever have, which speaks volumes because I live like right on the poverty line, you know? Or actually, I think it's actually below, but you know what I mean. Like, I don't I don't really care. Uh, Except Alex Jones, he's the only one who's completely sure in what he's doing in life. Of course. Oh yes, stability is achievable. Yes. Um, but yeah. What was I on about? Yeah. Um, yeah. People aren't blackpilled enough. People are gonna have a big wake up call. And, they're gonna have a black pill moment in the bigger cities when the coronavirus becomes a bigger problem. People are gonna have a black pill moment. No, I think on some level Alex Jones knows what he is. There's got to be a degree of self awareness there. It can't just all be a meme. Like all pathological liars, that's why he spends so much time boasting about himself. Yes, I agree. Let's see. Oh boy. Italy just locked down the world's eighth biggest economy. A deep recession looms. Here we go, boys. Here we go. It was the perfect time. It was the absolute perfect time to apply for welfare. Let me tell you. I wish I just did it earlier. I wish I did it earlier. Because, who knows? Maybe by the time I actually get him. I don't think all of these institutions are going to be gone. I don't think it's going to be that bad. But, if when I do eventually get approved, I don't have to worry about ever going. Well, uh, I would want to go. I don't think. Do you think coronavirus is going to hit Kentucky? I don't think it's going to hit Kentucky all that bad. I doubt it. I really doubt it. But I don't know. I don't know. Fuck that wage shit. That's what I was on about. Yeah, yeah. Let me look this up. I wonder if there's probably no cases here. There's cases in North Dakota now. That was a thing that happened. That North Dakota had some coronavirus cases. Oh wow. Two new Kentucky coronavirus cases confirmed in Fayette and Harrison. Total now is 6. Okay. Apparently we have 6 coronavirus cases in Kentucky as of now. So I suppose it was wise to hold my tongue on that one. Um, uh, the only thing that might come out of COVID-19 is the potential cancellation of Nipponese Olympics. Don't want normies affecting my love for Japanese culture and anime. Based. It's in Indiana, so probably being a NEET slash shut-in is legitimately the most responsible thing you can do right now. It seems like it. I mean, the other good thing that came out of Cove is Boomer Side. I agree. Apparently the new fags triggered it. Um, it finally came through after the 3rd try. Damn. Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, Nipponese, I guess they saw that as like a racial slur, so they blocked it or something. I don't know. Um, because social distancing is the only thing that will slow this train down before a vaccine is developed. I'm 100% agree. Um, yeah, is what it is. World be fuck. That one over there, trash guy. Yeah, yeah. Um, um, but yeah. I have to, I don't know when my next appointment at the Social Security office actually is, come to think of it. I have to wait to find out. But once I turn 18, I just go there by myself. I don't need to have anybody there with me. Unfortunately, billions of wage slaves who are required to work to pay off their debts will be obligated to commute to their banal jobs. Unfortunately, yeah. There's not much that can be done about it. And everything will get exponentially worse. Yeah. 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 Ugh. I'm just across the river to go to Kentucky. When I get SS, I'm going to move in with my boyfriend there. Oh, nice. It sounds like a comfy existence to have. And maybe we can hang out one day, Princess Dashi. But with Corona being what it is, just I don't know, wear a mask at that point. Wash your hands. I don't know. Uh, if the Social Security office is closed, that'll be the canary in the coal mine to tell you if the coronavirus has gotten too bad. That is true. That is 100% true. Um, Capitalists at the moment are like the guy desperately trying to scoop up pennies in front of a steamroller. That is a good way of putting it. Totally road trip based. Absolutely based. I'm down to meet pretty much every viewer of my channel. If anyone who wanted to watch these videos ever wanted to hang out IRL, I'm like pretty much without exceptions. I would meet everybody. In fact, let me just post my Discord here. For those of you who don't know, that's my Discord. It's public already. Like, it's public knowledge that that's my Discord. But yeah, there it is. Just to reiterate, I would be down to meet everybody who watches my videos. Star, if you're ever in Australia, you should hit me up. I'd love to hang out. Hell yeah. Yeah, I don't have any plans on going to Australia anytime soon, but I'd love to go eventually. I mean, it's one of those countries that, I've been pretty interested in for a long time. So yeah, I'd be down. I can't remember if Corona can be communicated off of like packages and stuff. Someone in my comment section told me that it can't, but I order a lot of things internationally, and so I sometimes I wonder, like, is this package I ordered internationally going to be the one that carries coronavirus? You know, but I'm pretty like. I've heard a number of people say that it can only be transmitted from human to human or whatever, but I don't know if that's true. I'm pretty sure like it can be communicated off of surfaces as well, like packages. Coronavirus can live on any service for up to 9 days. I see. Yeah, so I should be median life is 5 days. Yeah, so I should be careful. I don't I don't plan on ordering anything from China, for example, but or Italy or one of these other countries, but like I get a lot of orders from like Spain, and the Netherlands, and I don't actually know how many coronavirus cases they have, or just like if the postman or the people who are in transit, if they come in contact with the coronavirus managing other packages, then all it has to take is to get on my package. I don't think it could survive in an enclosed sealed box, but I am not an MD. Yeah. What did YouTube did YouTube Thanos my comment? I guess it did. Yeah, a new one's not showing up. Ironically, by the time anything from China arrives, it will probably have already died. But if someone is ill and sweating and touches your package with their bare hands, ... yeah, it would be a big problem. The whole postage situation internationally is going to get really shaken up in a moment here. I just hope the stuff I ordered this month gets here before then, but you never know. It's interesting to think about, though, isn't it? I'm gonna order some Berserk manga today. Nice. That's some fun shit to look forward to. I can imagine. I haven't read Berserk, but it's because it's just an endless rabbit hole. I plan to read it eventually, just, takes time. Take time to do. It's been bothering me a little bit recently is that I had a friend who, I considered at least like moderately important to me. I talked to them for a while. We exchanged, some really impactful moments with one another. Someone who I had shared a lot of things with. I guess that doesn't mean much coming from me. Um, they just randomly unfriended me on Discord, and they were going through some pretty tough times with like suicidal ideation and stuff, and are in a pretty horrible period in their life that they, you know, with all things being put on the table, probably won't get out of, looking at just how consistent it's been and the ways, the sort of mental barriers that they put up for themselves, that like uh you know I had advised them in the past on how to commit suicide safely, if if it were ever to come to that. I gave them very detailed advice on how to do it with the least pain possible. Not because I wanted them to kill themselves, but because if they did, I would want I would want them to do it in a way that was the least painful. And you could say that's like me encouraging them. No, I was very clear that I did not want them to, and that I think it would be the wrong course of action, and that it was upsetting to me. Um, but they had a. I don't think they would actually kill themselves. I don't think they would. Uh, because they had described them, themselves. They had said, "Oh yeah, I'm too much of a pussy to actually go through with it." That's what they had said. So, I don't think they'll actually do it, but you know, I like if they were gonna unfriend me, I wish they just said something. Like I have a feeling it was probably over me like making jokes about being like an Ayn Rand objectivist, which I'm obviously not, but I've said that I am in the past, like in videos as a meme, and I think maybe they construed the things I said in videos to be like what my actual stance is, and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to be friends with this objectivist guy." Um, and I don't know. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe they just got fed up with how much I talk about drugs, because I do talk about drugs in these videos a lot, and then they're like, "Oh, I don't want to be friends with this guy who talks about drugs." But we got into a couple arguments with one another. And maybe I don't. Maybe it's the arguments we had in the past. I don't know. I have literally nothing to work off of. Literally nothing to work off of. Um, so I don't know. I don't know. But they just unfriended me, and maybe they deleted their Discord account, because the only reason they were on Discord was to talk to me, right? They didn't have any other friends on Discord. I was the only one. Um, and so, uh, if I tried to refriend them, there would be no, there'd be no getting the friend request returned, because they wouldn't be logged in, because they'd have no reason to log in. Um, and I, I just hope they're okay. Um, you know, I wish they would have said something before unfriending me. Is what it is. Coral nicotine. Holy shit! I haven't seen this guy in like over a year. What the fuck? Who is Coral Nick? I thought this guy. I haven't seen this guy in forever. Uh, let's see here. Let's see. Anyway, Star, it was nice talking to you again. Stay safe and avoid large gatherings of people. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that's me. Oh wow, you're that guy. Yeah, I used to love talking to you. We had some really fascinating conversations. I actually I hope you don't mind. I actually screenshotted some of them just cuz they were that interesting. And yeah, no, dude, I'm so glad. I thought you were gone. I haven't heard from you in so long. I've had so many Discord accounts since we've last spoken. It's great seeing you again, man. That makes me happy. Um let's see. Do you like Naruto? Kakashi Sensei is my favorite character. I do like Naruto. I think it's a classic shonen anime. Um, even the filler, even a lot of the filler, I think is good. Join the Star Discord, bruv. Yeah, I'm sending him a link. great to see you again too. Nice. Yes. Yeah, I will send the link. There we go. That is the Star Discord straw domain. At the moment I have woodwork to do though. Okay. But the too pussy to do it is like one stage from actually doing it. You guys take care. Yeah, you too. Yeah, that was what was so concerning about it, was that like he had mentioned like swerving in his car, well, not swerving in his car, but almost crashing his car, and then like as a gut reaction had stopped the car from properly crashing. So yeah, that's what was making it a bit frightening for me, you know. Sometimes people just ghost you for no reason. It sucks, but it happens. I'm hoping that's what it was. You know, like it kind of sucks not getting, you know, I was like, oh, you really meant that much to me that you left without saying anything. But, I mean, I would rather that be the case than them, you know, I would rather that be the case than them be going through something really terrible, you know? Let's see here. Okay, Ron Swanson. I don't know who that is. Haha, you're awesome. Yeah, I don't know who Ron Swanson is to know how awesome that reference was. But, yeah. Yeah. Take care. Yeah. Who is... Now I gotta look this up. I gotta find out who this is. Oh, he's a fictional character played by Nick Oberman from... Oh, Parks and Rec. Okay. I haven't seen Parks and Rec in, like, years. So, I didn't remember. Do I have anything else? Let's see. Mario Sally Vichy has... I don't know who the hell this is. Random people subbing to me every now and again. Libertarian caricature in Parks and Rec who woodworks. Absolutely based. Yeah, I don't know if I have anything else to talk about. I mean, we're down to 6 people watching at this point. At this point, it's like it's Star After Dark. It's the most dedicated people in here who've stayed around. I don't think I have much else to say. We've reached 3 hours at this point. The amount of streams that I can do that are 3 hours or over is kind of incredible. I don't know how I keep doing this every single day. I mean, a lot of people, it's their job to do this every single day. But when I look at me as an individual, I'm like, how do I do that? I just go. I just infinitely talk forever. It's like I never run out. And the audience interaction helps, you know, getting the people to help make the flow go and all that. Flow, go, with 2 exclamation points. One for the first word, one for the second. I'm a Naruto theme song now. Or the band used in a Naruto theme song. You know, like, it's weird. It's weird to think about that I can just go and go and go. But it's kind of cool. I enjoy it. And I'm glad you guys enjoy it enough to at least stick around and not be, submerged in terror the moment that you hear me speak. Oh my god, the YouTube blocked my comment again, fuck my life. They keep doing it. They never stop censoring. They censor once and they do it again. They're censoring so much that we're tired of censoring. Okay. But yeah, YouTube really be censoring out here. I don't like it. I think it's a bad feel. They're doing it to my friend Insane Idiot, known for editing partially the script. Poetry is cool, and providing suggestions which, altered the video enough to make it much better. Credit where credit is due. Good man. Insane Idiot. I like him. He contributes to the Star channel. They censored the word autistic. Wow. The autistic is used... It's used in my live chats all the time. I don't know how they did that. By the way, if you want to know the guy who was responsible for the deep-throating an 80-year-old cock made of ash line in my video Poetry is Cool, that was Insane Idiot. Insane Idiot was the wise. He was the wise sermon. He was the wise preacher, who added that to the video, and it made the video way better. It was a very funny line. So shout outs to him for doing that. Yeah, I think I'm just saying words at this point. I've ran out of steam. Okay. If those of you who are at the end here, like, shoot me like one question or two of them or whatever you want to say really fast. But yeah, I'm basically gonna leave if no one shows up. Yeah, shoot them quick and hot, folks. I'm gonna leave some extra time for, to compensate for people's messages getting deleted or whatever as well. Yeah. I'll give it a couple more minutes here for people to say their piece, and then I'm out. It seems like a good place to head out. See ya. Yeah, see you later, Insane. I think Insane was actually, yeah, pretty much the only person commenting at this point. So if everyone else is just a lurker, then I'm done. It says we have 7 people watching, but they're not commenting. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.